Chapter 251, that's classified. The elder appeared to have thought of everything beforehand. Maybe his real intention to meet Song Yun was to involve that outcast church all along. Song Mu continued to explain. Lu Zhen has a beast emperor in its infant stage. Church of Nuwa appears to think that beast emperors bring calamities to the region they were in, like the Great Dungeon Break 3 decades ago. If we can convince the Jai clan and give a little bit of push, the Church of Nuwa might be roped in. And here's something that you would love even more. According to Shen Qiu, who ruled as Shen Nu for the past decade, Lu Zhen had killed an elder of the Church of Doom in the process of reinstating Shen Nu as the king once again. It was hard for us to contact them directly, but at the very least, we can expect that they are furious. The only problem is that the members of both organizations aren't allowed to step inside the imperial city. So, they have to be smuggled inside the city without alerting anyone. Song Yun seriously considered his plan and even was excited for a moment, but there's also one thought that lingered in his mind. What if it fails? Song clan might even become extinct for real. After all, this will incite the anger from the emperor. As he voiced his thoughts, Elder Song Mu only told him that the risk have to be faced by Song Yun alone, and the clan cannot be involved in his personal feud. However, Song Mu assured of providing assistance behind the scenes. Song Yun, who was driven by revenge, agreed to the plan. With only 3 days till the engagement ceremony, he felt like there was little time and prepared for his travel. Meanwhile, at Lin Mansion, Alan arrived with the invitation. Surprisingly, the guards welcomed him politely and took him to the Minister of Personnel. Lin Zhu was also with him. She was more than happy to see him after 3 days. However, at the moment, she stood silently behind her father. "So, you are the sparring partner of my daughter?" asked Lin Wang as he attempted to sense Alan's cultivation, facing a failure. This is the first time they met each other in person. Alan's handsome features brought displeasure to Lin Wang as he was worried that his daughter will fall in love with him. He doesn't want the whole Marksong clan saga to repeat with him with Alan. Alan responded without a change in his expression. "Yes, it was my master's order." Lin Wang then asked, "Where are you from, Alan?" If it was the previous him, he would give an answer like he's from Genesis Store, but now he was more aware of how to answer questions like these. As a result, he replied, "That's classified." Classified? Lin Wang naturally was surprised. He probed into his origins further. "Your name sounds too different, and so was your haircut. I heard that you are from faraway islands. Do people there have similar names as you?" "That's classified," replied Alan once again. "What is your exact realm?" "That's classified." "Why is your surname in the end?" "That's classified." "How do you know Lu Zhen?" "That's classified." "Who is Lu Zhen's master?" "That's classified." "Who is your weapons manufacturer?" "That's classified." As Alan continued to give the same answer to the questions, which are restricted ones in his opinion, Lin Wang started to get annoyed. In the end, he thought carefully and asked, "What about that woman? Both of you have the same last name. Are you siblings?" "That's classy." Alan almost gave the same answer before he paused and corrected himself. "Yes, she's my younger sister." "You?" As Lin Wang was ticked off by Alan's tongue slip, Lin Zhu grinned behind her father. In fact, she was the one who taught him to utter those words to any question that is difficult to answer because it might displease his master. Seeing that Alan was completely refusing to answer any questions that Lin Wang couldn't find it using his resources, the latter no longer cared about it and extended his hand. "Give it." As Alan handed him the invitation, Lin Wang said, "Give your master my reply. Due to the complex political circumstances, the Lin clan would like to stay away from this matter until things cool down. So, we wouldn't personally attend the engagement ceremony, and neither would Lin Zhu visit the store for sparring sessions. But we would sure send an attendant with a gift and our blessings. Tell him to not take it as an offense and understand our position." Alan appeared to be a bit surprised at first, not because of their rejection of the invitation, but at the thought of not getting to spar with her or even see her for a while. However, he didn't ask for any explanation of these complex political circumstances and nodded in understanding. Soon he said goodbye to Lin Zhu and proceeded to return to the store, not being aware that Lin Zhu was only keeping a facade in her father's presence. Inside, she was frustrated to be restricted by some situation, but for the sake of the clan, she had to endure it. At the same time, the situation is somewhat different in the imperial palace, where Elena made a visit with the invitation to present it to the emperor, the second queen consort, and their 2 kids. Usually, an engagement wedding invitation would be for the family, but here, it was quite selective. Honestly, he would rather not invite them of all the people, but he gave his words when Lan Jingyi told him that they would surely attend for Song Yue's sake. He was fine with no one to come for him, but at the very least, Mark wanted Song Yue to be happy. Following the rules, Elena stated her reason to the guards, who informed their superiors, who then passed the information to their superiors, eventually leading her to enter the palace and wait in one of the meeting chambers. Surprisingly, the crown prince entered the chamber instead of the emperor whom she requested to meet. As the crown prince saw her, his eyes lit up and lust could be seen in his eyes as he greeted her. "Hello there, beautiful lady. I apologize for letting you wait. I must say that your beauty exceeds what I heard from the rumors." As a higher-ranking android, Elena has more human expressions and thinking than Alan. She frowned in response to his greeting. "I don't remember requesting a meeting with you, Prince Zexi. I'm the crown prince of the Phoenix Empire and also its future emperor, Lady Elena. Meeting me is the same as meeting my father." Shang Zexi flaunted his status to her and then suddenly changed the topic as he walked toward her. "By the way, I'm really curious about something. How does a perfect beauty with great strength like you end up a servant for Lu Zhen? Even nobles and princes would queue up before you to marry you." His intentions were pretty clear to Elena, but the fact that he was bold in the first meeting even after he was being punished by the emperor just a while ago shows the arrogance that came from his crown prince status. Elena had little patience to begin with. Feeling that he was wasting her time, she spoke coldly. "My master gave me the task to deliver the invitation to either the emperor or queen consort Lan or Princess Jiao. You are neither of them, and I don't have any time to chit-chat with other parties. Either you can go and bring one of them or I will find them on my own." "You are really like a wild cat, huh?" commented the crown prince, who is above 40 and looks older than his age, but still in an illusion that he can charm any lady that he wants, especially if the lady is someone without any powerful background. And Elena finally snapped. She disappeared from her spot and appeared behind the crown prince, taking him by surprise with a dagger pressing on his throat. What are you doing?" Shang Zexi's eyes were widened by her response. He felt like he didn't say anything that she can take offense to her heart. Elena then gave a warning. "Learn to control your tongue, or else you might find it missing all of a sudden as you wake up in the morning." The crown prince was in a six-circle realm, but at the moment, he couldn't even muster up his strength to resist her. In the end, he just nodded and apologized. "Sorry." Elena retracted her dagger and left the room, eventually teleporting to Shang Jiao's room and giving her the invitation. Chapter 252, The Devil's Hand. Genesis Weapon Store, Imperial City. "Here is the remaining payment." Mark handed about 19 pouches filled with 5,000 gold coins in each, and another pouch with 145 gold coins to merchant Zheng Ha upon receiving the goods. Adding 30k gold coins of advance payment, Mark had given him about 125,145 gold coins in total, of which the order is 121,500 gold coins. The remaining 3645 gold coins are Zheng Ha's commission fee. The merchant was very happy to score it big and felt like his hard work had paid off. On the other hand, Mark's wealth dropped down to below 100k for the first time since he had extorted that amount from the noble clans. Fortunately, there are still pending orders, and once they are completed, his unaccounted money will not only turn into his official wealth, but also increase further after the remaining amount is being paid. Either way, it doesn't matter to Mark at the moment, as his mind was preoccupied with something else. After their transaction is over, except for 300 barrels of oil, which is a continuous supply every week, Mark then gave the invitation to the merchant. Like others, Zheng He also heard of the rumors of Mark and Song Yue's love story. So he wasn't that surprised at the news of their engagement ceremony and expressed his joy. "Thank you for the invitation, owner Lu. I will surely attend." Once the merchant left the store, Mark kept both of the storage rings, one that contained the materials and the other that contained the barrels of oil, in his inventory and continued his business. Roughly about an hour later, Elena returned and reported to Mark that she had handed the invitation directly to Shang Jiao, as she couldn't meet the emperor or the queen consort. She didn't also forget to mention her encounter with the crown prince. Mark frowned in displeasure when he heard that. He already had a bad impression of the crown prince who dragged him to the public trial. His impression worsened and decided to teach his eldest half-brother a lesson in the future. On the other hand, Song Yue didn't think too much about it. Maybe it is due to the fact that she is aware of Shang Zexi's worse personality, or maybe she was unconsciously thinking that Elena is a puppet and wasn't a matter of concern. Whatever the case, she didn't comment on the matter and directly asked what she was curious about. "Then, did you find out why she was absent for the past 3 days?" Mark put aside his thoughts on the crown prince and looked at Elena. After all, he needed to know whether his sister heard something or not. The latter answered. "Princess Jiao said that she was grounded for a week for disobedience." Mark doesn't know what to think of that excuse, but he wouldn't mind if she doesn't come to the store anyway. He simply nodded, "All right." Meanwhile, Song Yue was slightly disappointed as she nodded in understanding. "I see." Another 10 minutes later, Alan returned with a message from Lin Wang. Song Yue was once again disappointed. This time it is not only because she missed her best friend's presence, but she was also a little bit guilty for bringing trouble to Lin Zhu. Slowly the time passed and the lunch break arrived. After everyone ate together like a family, Mark stayed behind while the others returned downstairs to resume the business. Of course, just before they left, he didn't forget to absorb 3 points of luck from Chang Bo. Once he was left alone upstairs apart from the sleeping cat and the manticore, he returned to his room and quickly opened the lottery wheel, as he had already wasted more than 90 seconds since he absorbed the luck points. The lottery wheel, at present, had only 3 items left with the rest of the 18 spaces empty. But having a failure is no longer possible because of the current 10 luck points. Peak Potion, Reconnaissance Satellite, Light Combat Aircraft. Here we go. Hopping to acquire the Peak Potion, Mark pressed on the spin. 300 credits were deducted from his account, and the wheel started spinning. He had great expectations to get that potion so that he can finish his inheritance, but as the wheel stopped, he couldn't but let out a sigh. "Ding, congratulations, you won Light Combat Aircraft. The item has been sent to your inventory." "Ding, you unlocked R-73 air-to-air missile." "Ding, you unlocked the S-13 rocket, 120. "Ding, you unlocked the S-25 rocket air-to-ground." "Ding, you unlocked ZB-500 bombs, incendiary freefall bombs." Sigh, light combat aircraft aren't that strong. They mostly have subsonic speeds and are usually equipped with bombs, gun pods, and short-range missiles. Not to mention, I need to build a runway for them. Mark would be happy with it if he received it at any time, but at the moment, it wasn't what he needed the most, and he definitely wasn't that pleased as he would have to wait for another week. But then again, since he had already received a free gift, it wouldn't hurt to look at its details. Open inventory. Mark clicked on the image of an aircraft. The details appeared on a new screen, and he was dumbfounded for a moment. Light Combat Aircraft LCA, Yak 130. Grade NA. General CHARACTRSTICS. Crew 2. Length 11.49 m, 37 ft8 in. Wingspan 9.84 m, 32 ft3 in. Height 4.76 m, 15 ft7 in. Wing area 23.52 m2, 253.2 sq-ft. Empty weight 4,600 kg. Gross weight 7,250 kg. Max takeoff weight 10,290 kg. Performance: maximum speed 1,060 km/h. Cruise speed 887 km/h. Stall speed 165 km/h. Range 2,100 km. Service ceiling 12,500 m, 41,000 ft. Rate of climb 65 ms, 12,800 ft/min. Fuel capacity 2246 liters. Fuel consumption 2173 liters hour diesel, 3622 liters hour gasoline, 24,146 liters hour vegetable oil. Armament: hardpoints 9, 1 on each wingtip, 3 under each wing and 1 under the fuselage, with a capacity of up to 3,000 kg. Autocannon 20 X1, R-73 missile X2, S-13 rocket X2, S-25 rocket X2, and ZB-500 incendiary bombs X2. Additional attachments available. Maximum effective range 100% accuracy, 20 km R-73 missile, 3 km S-13 rocket, 3 km S-25 rocket. Absolute range 40 km. Storage chamber, no. Description: a light combat aircraft capable of going at subsonic speeds and is powerful enough to eradicate every enemy under peak stage of 7 circle with one shot. Price 50,000 gold coins. It's a fusing mass-produced one. Mark couldn't help but yelp in surprise as he had only expected another ether weapon. The thought of a mass-produced one never crossed his mind because, so far, the system only gave him ether weapons from the lottery wheel. Mark wasn't any happier than now. All of his earlier displeasure was gone from him, only to be replaced by excitement. Perhaps the only issue left for him is to look for the right buyer with such a huge price, but he would just think about it later and enjoy the present. Anyway, let's continue with the next one. Mark closed down the lottery wheel and opened the statue of Velkazar for a free blessing. Without any expectations, he clicked on the worship button. The statue on the interface glowed for a couple of seconds before giving him a reward. Ding, congratulations. You received a random skill upgrade as a blessing from the statue of the divine dragon, Velkazar. Ding, dismantling has been upgraded to the Devil's Hand. The Devil's Hand. Dismantle any object that you can touch and exchange in equivalent credits, and in case the object has an owner bound to one soul, then you get 50% of equivalent credits as long as it is below mithril grade, i.e. semi-divine and below. Cost: 0 ether points CD, 0 seconds. Mark's eyes once again lit up and he clenched his fist to control his excitement. Yes, first LCA and then an op skill. 10 points of luck didn't disappoint me after all. Now I have found another way to earn gold coins credits. I wonder if I can just dismantle Alan's divine sword Ares. Even if it is bound to his soul, considering it is of celestial grade, at the very least, I could earn at least 50 million credits. As soon as the thought appeared in his head, a response came from the system right away. Ding, the host cannot dismantle the items that are bound to the host, androids or the system. Ding, if the host is interested to earn credits, the host can sell Alan along with the divine sword as a package for 100 million credits meteor missiles. But I have already lost the battle tank though. Ding, battle tank V will be returned. Do you wish to proceed with the exchange? Stop being ridiculous. There's no way I would give up Alan. I was just thinking, scoffed Mark as he instantly rejected its offer. For some reason, he had a strong feeling that it won't be the last time the system will try to make him sell the male android. System Chapter 253, Making Gunpowder. Mark's Factory. Level 3 EXP, 251,000. Available machines: a drill press 3, a welder 3, a milling machine 3, a lathe 3, cupping press 1, draw press 1, transfer press 1, bullet assembly press 1, primer, loading and packaging 1. Assistant robots 3. Available time: 29 minutes max, 30 minutes. Cooldown 24 hours. Weapon analysis. Testing grounds. Go. Ding, you have entered Mark's factory. Ding, all of your skills along with familiar's inventory are locked. Upon entering the factory located in his own mindscape, Mark was greeted by the sight of a familiar robot along with the required equipment. The Level 3 factory is now the size of a large living room with 3 sets of equipment. He started taking out the wooden boxes filled with some of the materials like 100 kg of powdered brimstone sulfur, 150 kg of charcoal powder, and 1,000 kg of saltpeter potassium nitrate. A huge pile of wooden boxes formed in the corner of the room. Okay, for the gunpowder, the mixture ratio should be 74.8% saltpeter, 13.3% charcoal, and 11.9% sulfur. Mark simply wrote the instructors on a paper and passed the ingredients to the robot to do all the manual work. As it does the work with pinpoint accuracy, he wouldn't need to worry about errors. While the robot started working on the black powder, Mark returned to the real world and went downstairs to join everyone else. The afternoon business was as bleak as usual. Mark cannot do anything about it, so he did what he had to do to get rid of his boredom. How? By forcing everyone to play mahjong with him. Of course, this time, it was just to pass the time and no money was placed as a reward or anything. Because Song Yue was happy spending time with Mark and Chang Bo like having a normal life, Alan was too loyal, and Chang Bo was too grateful for earning his keep with less work. The atmosphere didn't look like Mark is abusing his power as the boss of the store. Eventually, the sunset arrived and the store became busy during the evening hours. While the combined transactions only amounted to 360 gold coins, the new customers were 12 of them, a satisfying number for Mark. Once the store is closed and Chang Bo left for his home after having dinner with everyone, Mark and Song Yue returned to their respective rooms. While Song Yue went into a comfortable sleep, Mark sat on the floor in the lotus position. He proceeded with taking out a 1,500 carat ether ore, which weighs 300 gm and is very rich in ether. Ether ore. Weight 1542 carat. Quality high. Description: an unpolished ether ore which contains unrefined ether energy. Okay, let's see how much I would be able to increase my EP ether points. As long as I can get more than 30k, I will be satisfied. Mark closed his eyes and started absorbing the ether energy from the ore. His ether points are rising at an alarming rate. Roughly after 6 hours of continuous absorption, the scarlet ore turned white and he received the notification. Ding, you absorbed high-quality ether ore, 1542 carat. Ether energy has been increased by 44,718 points. He slowly opened his eyes with a smile on his face. Good, now, let's continue. Mark then proceeded to absorb those ether crystals, mid-quality, that his maternal granduncle paid him for the weapons he bought to demonstrate to the king of the Eastern Sun Kingdom. Of the 106 crystals he received, the system took its share and handed him the remaining 63 crystals. Each one is a polished one and gave him 50 ether points. As a result, his ether energy was increased by 3,150 points more. System Open Character Stats. Name Lu Zhen Mark Spencer. Rank 5. Strength 1.5. Intelligence 5.2 plus 1. Defense 5. Agility 1.6. Vitality 2.1. Resistance 1.1. Charisma 9. Luck 2 plus 5. Bloodline Blizzard Pegasus. Attribute Lightning Ice and Space locked. Spirit Path Summoner. Ether Quality high. Ether Energy 114,303. Special Skills: Ultimate Defense I, Ultimate Defense II, Thunderblast, Lightning Clone, Seal Breaker, and the Devil's Hand. Bloodline Skills, Absolute Freezing, Ice Bolt. Assistants, 2, Alan Spencer, Elena Spencer. Lifespan Limit, 175, 150 years left. Available credits, 1480. Available credit limit, 35,000 out of 160,000. Net worth, 92,115 gold coins, 18 silver coins. Total debt, 185,586 gold coins, 1598 ether crystals low. Credit debt, 125,000 plus 877, equivalent to 625,000 gold coins, plus 4385 gold coins. Skills. Active. The Devil's Hand. Dismantle any object that you can touch and exchange in equivalent credits, and in case the object has an owner bound to one's soul, then you get 50% of equivalent credits as long as it is below mithril grade, i.e. semi-divine and below. Cost, 0 ether points CD, 0 seconds. Sage Eyes. Allows the user to inspect any non-living thing or living thing and find their details. Thunderblast. Summon a lightning bolt from the heavens to strike down the enemy with 150% attack power. Cost, 50% ether. CD, 60 min. Seal Breaker. Allows the user to remove any seal under ancient grade. Lightning Clone. Create a clone made of lightning attribute and ether energy, controlling it like a puppet from distance. Cost, 1% ether energy second. Range, 500 meters. CD, 0 seconds. Effect. The strength of the clone will be one whole realm above the highest stat of the user during the time of unleashing the skill, max stat, 10.9. The clone will release an enormous amount of energy upon being destroyed, causing serious damage to the enemy standing nearby. In that case, the user cannot resummon the clone for the next 12 hours. Passive. Ultimate Defense I. By default, the store is invincible under the heavens and cannot be damaged by anyone under the demigod realm. Ultimate Defense II. Within the store, the host cannot be harmed by anyone under the demigod realm. The host cannot also be dragged outside against his will. Bloodline Skills. Absolute Freezing. Freeze your surroundings for 120 seconds. Range, 200 m. Cost, 10,000 EP. CD, 30 min. Ice Bolt. Conjure any number of ice spears with your ether energy at any time to launch them at your enemies with 100% power. Anything that gets pierced will be frozen. Cost, 20% ether. CD, 0 sec. Note, the user can launch only one spear. Range, 200 m. Available weapons for sale. Single-shot pistol, revolver P365 10 rounds, P226 20 rounds, RIP-9 light tank Est, KFZ. Panzer, 8 types of grenade, falling block rifle, contender, M99 sniper rifle, rocket launcher PZF-3 IT-600, self-propelled howitzer PZH-2000, Chimera SMG, 12 models of assault rifle, 8 models of lever action rifle, 8 models of bolt action rifle, kid-class destroyer warship, ether pistol C4 basic, C4 advanced, Chimera SGM, VTLM-2 NEC light multi-role vehicle. Yak 130 light combat aircraft. Unlocked exclusive weapons, Derringer shotgun, grenade launcher, Panzer IV, light artillery rocket system. Man, that was some heavy debt. It's only been a week and the interest is already crossed 4,000 gold coins. Even if all the pending orders are fulfilled and I pay all of my wealth, I won't be able to become debt-free. I guess I should sell some of my strongest weapons. But then again, I have to sell at least one model of the mass-produced item anyway. I might as well look for the buyer. Feng Wu owes me and couldn't afford expensive items or their maintenance even after he reclaims his kingdom. That darn biological father of mine could buy it, but I don't want to give it to him. I guess it leaves with only one choice, King Shen Niu. He is rich and also needs my support. He will happily buy them and I will also have no problem selling them to him. Wait a second. As Mark suddenly remembered his granduncle, he realized that he has one more potential buyer. That's right. The Kingdom of Eastern Sun is known to be sitting on 20% of the gold reserves. They might have issues with the surrounding empires of Leon and Killen. If I upgrade their security with howitzers, then I might draw the attention of the northern empires and strike some kind of deal with them too. Since Western Moon has so many islands in its control and has quite a lengthy shore, I should sell them a couple of destroyers. As for the LCA, perhaps I should have a talk with Shang Fu to change our deal. After all, I don't have any attack helicopters. Anyway, let's go and check on the work progress. Open Mark's factory. His spirit entered the factory inside his mindscape, and dozens of wood boxes were piled in one corner, and others filled with about 380 kg of saltpeter, and about 40 kg of charcoal powder in another corner. One of the 9 FT robots, which stood there like a statue for hours, turned toward him as soon as he entered the place. It bowed. The work has been done. Ding, you successfully created gunpowder. Ding, you earned 100 experience points. Ding, do you wish to sell the formula to the system and make it available for mass production in exchange for 100 credits? Even this can be sold, Mark wondered out loud. Ding, ignite it in a confined space and see it for yourself if it does nothing. No thanks. Mark scoffed at the system's sarcastic remark and then proceeded to ask, if I sell the prototype to you, how much will it cost to buy it from you when I create it in the future? Ding, 6 silver coins per 100 GM. Oh, that's not bad actually, Mark pondered on it. Chapter 254, Unlocking the Mind. There's roughly about 830 kg of gunpowder in front of him. Excluding the remaining goods, just buying the 3 of them cost him about 1,500 gold coins. However, it will only take 1/3 cost if he could buy it from the system. This is probably the first time he actually gets to see that the system is offering cheaper than outside the world. After all, according to its policy, the rarer the item is, the costlier it should be. Does that mean gunpowder isn't a rare item? When Mark thought about it for a moment, it made sense to him. After all, the ingredients he used were all available in bulk in nature and being utilized for various purposes in this world. He knew that people would try to reverse engineer his weapons. At the very least, he knew that someone will surely find the process of making the bullet. However, smokeless powder is tough to crack, so some alchemists will try to use replacements. It only means that sooner or later, gunpowder will be invented. When people realize the value of these materials, their price will go up, and so would be the cost of making gunpowder. So Mark thought that he might as well depend on the system to procure the classic gunpowder for a cheaper version of the bullet. And with buying from the system, each 9 bullet will take only around 5 grams of gunpowder. That means 100 GM would be sufficient for 300 bullets. Now, it's time to produce the remaining 3 parts of the ammo, the bullet, the case, and the primer. He doesn't have too many machines for fast mass production. So, 200,000 of bullets order made by Feng Wu might take some time. That's why he only tasked one of the robots to mass produce them as much as possible, while the remaining 2 will work on his designs to complete one of the conditions of the quest for the second spirit path. He handed over the detailed designs of the parts required for the remaining Tigan series weapons, except for the rocket launcher and howitzer, as well as the instructions and almost all the materials, i.e. 100 kg of lead, 100 kg of tin, 100 kg of brass, 1 ton of copper, 100 kg of Herculean steel. He only withheld Damascus tungsten in his inventory, as this high-density material was of no use in making firearms. He wanted to use it in making a missile, but that requires heavy work and high-end equipment, which he can acquire once the factory reaches a higher level. So, it was left for the future. Once he stored all of the wooden boxes filled with gunpowder in his inventory, Mark returned to the real world and proceeded to sleep. The next day evening. Open Mark's factory. Unlike the last time with Chimera SGM, Mark didn't bother to assemble the parts himself and already passed the instructions to the robots to do the work before he left. As a result, he was greeted with the sight of 8 shiny weapons neatly placed on the desk. 2 of the robots bowed to him and reported to him the completion of the work, while the remaining one is busy with the process of making the 9 lead bullets with copper casing, gunpowder version. Mark ignored it for a second and placed his entire attention on the weapons. Actually, they were only assembled. There are still 2 steps left. If there's an error in his design and receives a poor rating from the system, then he should redo the design process and it will take a toll on his brain. However, he was confident that it won't happen. After all, these designs weren't created just now. He had created prototypes in his past life. It's just that they didn't make it to mass production because of budget constraints, complex designs, and the availability of affordable options. Mark first picked up the machine pistol, capable of auto-fire with high RPM just like a submachine gun. Its outer appearance resembles that of a Glock 18, although with an additional front-loaded magazine of 30-round capacity. With the fun switch at the top, the machine pistol can interchange from semi-automatic and automatic modes. The semi-automatic mode will use the rounds at the back, and the auto mode will use the bullets in the front magazine. Down below the barrel, the torchlight can also be fixed so that it will become easier at night. System: analyze the weapon. Tigan 1. Type: pistol. Grade: NA. Weight: empty, 624 gm. Caliber: 9x19. Rate of fire: 1420 RPM. Magazine capacity: 20-30 rounds. Maximum effective range: 100% accuracy, 23 meters. Absolute range: 58 meters. Attachments available: max 1. Description: a handgun that is capable of shooting automatically like a machine gun. Recommender stats: NA. Systems rating: 7.2. Comments: the weapon is up to the standards of the system. It can be sold to customers. Ding, please proceed to the testing grounds to test the weapon. Mark closed down the window. Instead of directly going there, he first checked the remaining weapons. Tigan 2 Executioner. Type: revolver. Caliber: 12-gauge shotgun shells. Capacity: 6 rounds. Range: 83 meters. Systems rating: 7.9. Tigan 3. Type: fusion. Barrels: 2. Caliber: 12-gauge shotgun shells, 40 grenade. Capacity: 16-round shotgun, 1-round grenade. Range: 576 meters. Systems rating: 8.8. Tigan 4 PDW-57. Type: submachine gun. Caliber: 9x19. Capacity: 50 rounds. Range: 690 meters. Systems rating: 8.2. Tigan 5. Type: sniper rifle. Caliber: 7.62 x 51. Capacity: 10 rounds. Range: 1280 meters. Systems rating: 7.1. Tigan 5A. Type: sniper rifle. Caliber: 0.5 BMG, 12.7 x 99. Capacity: 10 rounds. Range: 50-84 meters. Systems rating: 9.5. Tigan 2A. Type: revolver. Caliber: 40 grenades. Capacity: 6 rounds. Range: 62 meters. Systems rating: 6.8. Tigan 1A. Type: submachine. Barrels: 3 Gatling style. Caliber: 9x19. Rate of fire: 2455 RPM. Capacity: 50 rounds. Range: 95 meters. Systems rating: 7.8. System: open testing ground. Mark's spirit was then transported to the place, with different sections that are filled with target boards. The testing ground is in the shape of a sector of a circle. It is further divided into 3 sections. The first section is full of lanes separated by indestructible walls. This is for practicing small guns ranging from pistols to machine guns. As he proceeded further, he enters a larger second section, which is for testing explosives like grenades or C4 and bigger weapons like a rocket launcher. The targets are randomly placed everywhere over the barren land. The final section is where all kinds of habitats are located, ranging from hills to a huge lake. Here, according to the system, the target can appear at a place where Mark wants it to be with just a thought in his mind. It is a perfect place to test combat aircraft, missiles, destroyers, etc. Mark began to test his 8 weapons of the Tigan series in the first section. The sniper rifles were tested in the third section because of higher range. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 1. You received 200 experience points. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 2. You received 350 experience points. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 3. You received 800 experience points. Ding, Mark's factory leveled up. Ding, you unlocked Suppressor. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 4. You received 500 experience points. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 5. You received 400 experience points. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 5A. You received 1500 experience points. Ding, Mark's factory leveled up. Ding, you unlocked Scope Zoom 20x. Ding, you unlocked Mining. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 2A. You received 750 experience points. Ding, you successfully invented Tigan 1A. You received 500 experience points. Ding, do you wish to sell the designs to the system for mass production? Mining, system, is that what I think it is? The system confirmed his thoughts with its reply. Ding, the mining function will let the host mine the rarest materials according to the level. However, these materials are bound to the host and cannot be sold to others in any way. They can only be used for the host's research or production of the weapons. Okay, that's cool. Let's see what it is right away. Mark proceeded to open the mines, putting aside the offer from the system for a moment. Mine. Level 1. Extraction, 1 GM/HR. Go. System, what metals can I mine actually? The mining function was actually different from what Mark had imagined it to be. There were no real mines like it was for the factory. Instead, there's a lottery wheel with 8 sections, and each one had the image of metals that he only heard of in mythological stories or comics. Fortunately, there are a couple of them that he knew from his past world. Chapter 255, Ether Powder. Below the wheel there was a spin option with 1,000 credits cost. Thankfully, there was no cooldown timer. The 8 metals are adamantium 200 gold coins, mithril 100 gold coins, celestial bronze 500 gold coins, neosteel 60 gold coins, orichalcum 20 gold coins, trinium 28 gold coins, plutonium 15 gold coins, and radium 180 gold coins. Compared to the mining of these rare metals, 1,000 credits cost was too cheap, but the problem arrives after it lands on something. For example, once the arrow landed on adamantium, the mining will start with extracting 1 GM of metal per hour continuously, which means Mark would be able to earn more than 7 kg of adamantine if he doesn't touch the mining system for a whole year. However, he can't mine them for free. Each metal has a price written on it. Adamantium costs 200 gold coins per GM, so even if he patiently extracts 8.7 kg, Mark still has to pay more than 1.7 million gold coins. Every time he mines something, he will get charged in the form of debt, and every debt has an interest attached to it. Oh, there are radioactive ones as well, but there is no uranium. Depleted uranium would be very useful for making great ammunition. Anyway, I should worry more about the debt rather than the availability of those items. Of the metals, I worked with plutonium and radium. I could make radium bombs, but it is a bit of a risky project. Plutonium is easier to work, but to work with them, I need the proper equipment. As for the other metals, I might have to study them properly in order to use them in weapon manufacturing. When my business is done here, I will start my research. Until then, let's keep it away. Anyway, let's see what I will get. Depending on his 7 points of luck, Mark proceeded to click on the spin. The wheel spun for a while before it stopped on a cheap one. Ding, congratulations, you unlocked trinium ore. Proceed with the extraction or spin again with half the price, 500 credits. Proceed with the extraction, replied Mark. The section with trinium metal was painted sky blue, indicating that the process started in the background. Mark closed down the window and shifted his attention back to the weapons. He then asked, "System, what is your offer for the weapons prototypes?" The system responded immediately. Tigan 1, 1,000 credits. Tigan 2, 500 credits. Tigan 3, 5,000 credits. Tigan 4, 10,000 credits. Tigan 5, 2,000 credits. Tigan 5A, 8,000 credits. Tigan 2A, 800 credits. Tigan 1A, 2,000 credits. So, a total of 29,300 credits, huh? It is less than what I expected. Mark was a little bit unsatisfied with the offer, but the system was ready to give its explanation. Ding, credits are offered based on how unique the innovation is compared to normal weapons, how complex its design is, and how powerful it can be. Mark readily understood what the system was trying to tell, but he didn't mind it either way. After all, he designed those weapons for only one purpose, which is to finish the main quest and receive an ether weapon. Considering how the system had recognized gunpowder as a type of weapon, he now had completed those 10 weapon designs. However, he wouldn't sell them to the system right away, as the mandatory quest of getting the second spirit path will require him to sell one of each type of weapon in the gallery except for exclusive ones. Why should he add 8 more and make the quest more difficult? Thinking that way, Mark quietly kept all of them in his inventory and decided to sell them at a later date. After exiting the testing ground, Mark's spirit returned to the factory, where the other 2 robots also joined the third one in mass-producing the bullets. Until now, about 2 boxes were filled, till 3,000, and it will take a few days for completion, but Mark also knew that 100 kg of lead will not be enough for 200,000. He only placed less amount of lead as an order because he doesn't know the price. Now that he knew that lead slabs come very cheap in this world too, 42 silver coins per 1 kg slab, mainly because of its usage for nothing but paintings to everyone else, he decided to make a big order soon enough. Okay then, let's finish the main quest right away. Mark proceeded to take one of the 9 bullets and let the system analyze it too. Lead bullet. Type ammunition. Caliber 9x19. Description: a cheaper version of the system's tungsten lead bullet. The 9 bullet is powerful enough to kill a civilian and can injure a 1-circle realm spirit warrior. System's rating, 9.1. And to test the bullet, he doesn't need to go to the testing grounds. He just took out the ether pistol and placed 1 bullet in the cylindrical chamber and shot at his whole hand from point-blank range. With 5 points of defense, he wasn't worried about getting injured by a 9 bullet. Bang! Because of the black powder, a bit of smoke escaped from the gun while his hand stung slightly. As for the bullet, it bounced off and fell on the ground just like the cartridge. Looking at his palm where a slight tinge of redness appeared, Mark nodded in satisfaction. All right. Ding, you successfully invented the lead bullet, 9x19. You received 100 experience points. Ding, you completed the main quest III. Go to the quest list to claim the rewards. Ding, do you wish to sell the prototype copyrights to the system for 100 credits? And how much the system will sell it to the public? Asked Mark in response. Ding, 8 silver coins per each. No, Mark rejected it right away upon reading the recommended price. He knew that the system gave a higher price because a bullet is rare in the world, and only he can make it properly, unlike gunpowder, which can be created by any alchemist out there that figured out the right ingredients and ratio. At the same time, he should also fulfill one of the conditions of the mandatory quest, where he should sell a weapon that isn't designed or manufactured by the system. If he sells the copyright, then it will no longer be his. Why bother for a mere 100 credits when he can mass-produce without doing much work? After rejecting its offer, Mark placed one of the boxes in his inventory and opened the quest list. Main QSDS. Main Quest I. Sell a total of 10,000 firearms in progress. 947-10000. Reward, submachine gun all models. Main quest II, become rank 6. Reward, host share increases to 70% permanently and 16,000 credits. Main quest III, create 10 types of weapons at the factory. Completed. Reward, a random ether version of the host's designed weapon. Side quests. Side quest I, earn a total of 1 million gold coins from selling the weapons created by the system excluding ammunition, in progress, 1.4%. Reward, ether sniping rifle silver grade, ether assault rifle silver grade. Side quest II, expand the business to 10 cities and sell at least 1,000 weapons through each branch excluding ammunition. In progress, 0%. Reward, upgrade crystal superior. Side quest III, spend a total of 500,000 credits in progress, 126,905,000. Reward, amulet of Diu. Side quest IV, tame 10 monsters for 10. Reward, taming skill. He clicked on the quest. Only after that did he suddenly realize something. He didn't even register the weapons with the system yet. How could he get an ether version of the weapon? Wait. Ding, only 2 weapons designed by the host were registered in the system. Upon seeing the notification, Mark realized that he fucked up because those 2 are none other than gunpowder and chimera SGM. If he earns the latter, he will be fortunate, but what if it is the former? But then again, can there be an ether version of gunpowder? Even if there was, will it be any use other than being a substitute? He wondered. And just as he feared, he received the product right away. Ding, you unlocked ether powder. Check out the gallery for details. SHT, he slapped his forehead for not being able to turn lucky and also making a bad choice. If I only realized it before, I would have sold a couple of prototypes. As he can't change the past anyway, Mark chose not to blame himself and move forward. System, open gallery. He scrolled for a bit and stopped on the image of white powder that is next to gunpowder. This must be the ether powder. He clicked on it. Immediately his eyes widened. What the? Chapter 256, The Seed of Fire. Ether powder. Description: the remnant powder is made from depleted ether crystals. It is used to make ether weapons according to the quality of the powder. Price: 10 silver coins per gram copper, 1 gold coin per gram silver, 10 gold coins per gram gold, 100 gold coins per gram platinum, 1,000 gold coins per gram diamond ruby crystal, 10k gold coins per gram mithril, 100k gold coins per gram celestial, 1m gold coins per gram god. Seriously, the ether firearms could be made from those worthless things. Mark always thought that ether weapons are made from high-quality metals and blood or any part of a spirit beast. So far from his inspection, he concluded that way. But he didn't know that he can simply make ether weapons from those white crystals that are thrown away after absorbing the ether energy. So far, he had absorbed the energy from thousands of ether crystals of various qualities and dumped the white crystals as trash. Just a day ago, he had absorbed that 1,500 carat ore of high quality, and Alan threw it away at the garbage collection site. I don't know whether to laugh or cry now. Mark was happy that he can make the ether weapons from now onwards, but he felt like he threw away gold coins for nothing. In the end, Mark convinced himself that he actually received a better reward, as he can make even God-grade firearms in the future. He then returned to the real world and went to sleep right away. 2 days later, the Genesis training ground, which was once used for weapons testing and sparring field now, had become the venue for the engagement ceremony. A huge tent was placed inside, covering almost every inch of the land inside the compound wall. The inside was also decorated quite nicely with chandeliers, aluminum candle lanterns, and all suitable to host guests with wealthy backgrounds. As for the food, Elena rented one of the kitchens of a restaurant and personally cooked all the items, including a few recipes from Mark's past world. He planned to use this occasion to introduce them to the guests, and based on their reactions, he might also think of opening a restaurant of his own to have an additional income later on. The business might not be even half profitable as the weapon store, but there are reasons for him to do this. First, he no longer has to depend on androids as much as before, so he might as well use their other talents and cash it. Secondly, the store was doing poorly during afternoon hours except for weekends, so it can serve as a secondary income. Not to mention, it will be the perfect place for him to use those butler robots for something. It was just an idea that came to his mind, and he wants to see if it can succeed or not. That's all. If opening the restaurant is not possible, as long as the guests like it, he could still sell those recipes to the other restaurants and make money out of it. Speaking of which, there are so many ideas from his past world that he can actually sell to the businessmen of this world. As for why he making these sudden plans out of nowhere, it's mainly because of the rising debt. He could see the debt will only rise to exorbitant amounts in the future, and unless he plans on continuing to extort money from the noble clans, he should do something about it. While this will not clear the debt he owes to the system, it will at least help him with the interest the system charges him, and that's enough for Mark. As for the huge debts, he also has a plan for them and will soon unveil it today. It was around 10 o'clock in the morning. Since it is Monday, people were busy with their work, but it wouldn't stop everyone to take a look in the sky where a giant stingray is moving toward the outer sector, where the Hanga district and the Genesis weapons store are located. The Imperial family of 4 along with Supreme Commander Bai, Grand Secretariat Li, and Northern General Yi Yin were seated inside a house-sized carriage that is attached to the stingray's back. The 4th member of the Imperial family isn't the 3rd prince or some other wife of the Emperor. Surprisingly, it is the 2nd prince, who coincidentally returned to the Imperial city just a day ago to receive the order. Of course, he didn't come all the way without knowing whether his order is ready or not. Only after inquiring with a subordinate did he finally decide to visit. But then, why does a general like him have to take the items in person? The store's new rules don't restrict his subordinates to visit the store and take it. It is because of 4 reasons. 1. It would give the 2nd prince a perfect reason to return to the Imperial city, where his mother's grave is located. 2. The rocket launchers and grenade launchers are a bit too powerful to let any normal soldier have their hands on them. After all, these aren't swords or bows. Whether in the hands of a civilian or a supreme being, they work the same. 3. 50 panzers are too big to be stored in normal storage rings. Each of its widths is slightly more than 2 meters big, so even a gold-grade storage ring will be cramped. He owns a semi-divine grade storage ring and could comfortably store an entire palace in it. So, there's that too. And the 4th and final reason is that he wanted to meet Mark to see if the latter had any new advanced weapons. After all, every time they met, Mark has introduced a new weapon to him, and it's been like 10 days since they last met. So, he had curiosity too. As a result, he made a personal trip once again, surprising his father and the others, making some people like the Crown Prince and Nai Raogang wonder whether Shang Wen was also eyeing the throne. Upon learning that Song Yue and Mark are going to get engaged, he decided to tag along with his family to give his blessings to the couple and also finish his business at the same time. Back to the present, the Emperor is currently in a discussion with the other 3 subordinates regarding some important stuff. If the Seed of Fire will really appear on our lands, then we might have to be extra careful on security. More than those guests from outside, we have to worry about our internal matters. Some people will try to take advantage of this chaos and cause a disturbance, said the Emperor in a serious tone, indicating the possible invasion from Kunyu bandits. The others agreed without hesitation. Bai Zun then stated his opinion. How about we talk to Lu Zhen? He has those rocket launchers and grenade launchers that can even take care of 5 Circle Realm experts. Having a dozen of them in each unit would be able to help us, right? I'm afraid that's not possible, Supreme Commander Bai. The 2nd prince immediately rejected the idea. he opinioned. Our soldiers are working with his weapons, so I knew very well what are their strengths and weaknesses. They are indeed stronger and can put fear in enemies, but the wielder needed a lot of training. Honestly, these weapons are never seen in history, so we don't have any training manuals for guidance. At present, we are only depending on Lu Zhen's training given to a couple of our soldiers a while ago. For the new weapons, we plan on sending them here so that they train under him and return to us before training the rest of our regiment. All of this will take at least a month, and we barely have a week or two left till the birth of the fire seed. Do we actually know its location? Asked the second prince. Well, according to the envoy of Eastern Sun, it will be born in a volcano somewhere in the south, replied the emperor before looking at the Grand Secretariat, who then said, we have 92 active volcanoes on our land excluding the Blood Hill Forest, so it is tough to say which one the fire seed will choose. But I would place my bet on the Zhao province, which has over half of the number. Ahem. Chapter 257, Mark and Song Yue's Engagement Ceremony. Genesis Weapon Store. Looking at the clothes that cost over 500 gold coins, Song Yue let out a deep sigh as she sat on her bed. Lu Zhen is really too much. He doesn't have to spend this much on something like a fake engagement. I guess it might have to do with the guests that are arriving. I know it's not real, but still, it would be nice if there's someone with me. Just as she was also feeling lonely, missing her best friend, the door was knocked on twice. She put aside the dress and opened the door only to be surprised. Ma. It was her mother that was standing outside. Song Yue's mother, Chen Zio, couldn't help but break into tears as she caressed her daughter's face before they hugged each other. After talking for a while mainly about Song Yue's life at this place, the latter asked about Song Yun. Ma, what about Baba? Chen Zio replied angrily, he's also here but refuses to meet you. It's a good thing anyway. It's better if that man stays away from my daughter. Then, grabbing Song Yue's shoulder, she softened her tone as she apologized. I'm sorry that I couldn't do anything for you. All I can do is hope that Lu Zhen will treat you better. Song Yue couldn't say that her relationship with Mark isn't real, so she had to nod in response and assure her mother about her well-being with a smile on her face. Meeting Lu Zhen is the best thing that happened to me, Ma. He respects my wishes and never makes me sad. He also never made me feel like I was some kind of guest here. As I have said before, it is the first time I have been working in a store, but I feel very content with my job. As for comforts, you have seen yourself. The residence might have fewer rooms compared to our previous mansion, but in terms of quality, only the interior of the Imperial Palace could outmatch this place. Elena's cooking level is comparable to that of Imperial chefs, and recently, Lu Zhen also promised me that he will never try to restrict my freedom as other husbands do. What more possibly could I want? I'm very happy here, Ma, and you can stop worrying about me. What else can I do? Cheng Zio let out a sigh and then forced herself to smile once again. Anyway, today is a happy occasion, so I will not spoil it by bringing up the past. And also, don't attempt to talk to your father, okay? I'm worried that he might ruin the day under the influence of anger. Song Yue became silent for a second before nodding. I understand. Roughly an hour later, at the venue hall, all the invited guests were seen standing together as Mark and Song Yue stood alongside each other with a priest from the Church of Light reading a prayer. Mark doesn't worship goddess Zith, the deity of light and sun, but he had to respect the traditions of the land as well as Song Yue's beliefs. That's why he followed the way everyone has their engagement ceremony in the majority part of the empire. First, an official priest prays for the deity of light and sun, Zith, and asks for a blessing for the couple. Once it was over and both of them admit that they agree to be each other's fiancé, the first and main part of the ceremony will be finished with the priest officially declaring both of them as half husband and half wife. After the process was done, the second part of the ceremony is where Mark would give an engagement gift to his fiancée. Only after that, the guests would hand over the gifts to the couple. People would usually prefer to give money, but some will also give other gifts. The third part is where the guests will dine to their heart's content, if they were satisfied with the food taste before leaving. And the final part is where the couple will have dinner at the bride's house before the groom returns alone to his home. Unfortunately here, this cannot be possible because of obvious reasons. Back to the ceremony, after the declaration from the priest is over, Mark handed Song Yue a Chimera SGM as an engagement gift, staying true to his profession. Painted in platinum and gold colors, the weapon's appearance really looked very cool at the first glance despite its bulky appearance. Even Shang Jiao was tempted to paint her Chimera SGM like that. Except for Song Yun's family and the imperial family, there are other guests who are wealthy and frequently visit the store. Mark was no saint that he forms a friendship with the ones who aren't useful to him. In fact, the secondary reason he bothered to invite these wealthy individuals with their families to the engagement ceremony was so that he could use this opportunity to earn more money from the gifts. As this is only a fake engagement, Mark didn't feel bad about doing this. Anyway, except for the imperial family, none of them had any idea about Chimera SGM. So, it was a mysterious thing for them, but neither of them was daring enough to ask what the object is. The only people who have an idea about the weapon are the members of the imperial family, and they assumed that Mark gifted her this advanced weapon so that she can protect herself in crisis. After Song Yue placed the weapon in her storage while intending to return it after the engagement because of its high price, 1,600 gold coins, Song Yun and his wife stepped forward while their guards stood in their places. Without bothering to hide displeasure on his face, Song Yun handed Mark a pouch of gold coins, 500 gold coins. Congratulations. His tone was also cold. While Mark didn't care much about his gift, he still responded with an unusual comment as he glanced at the subordinates. You are quite bold, Minister Song. The others only assumed that Mark's reaction was based on either Song Yun's appearance at the venue or his outright cold behavior. On the other hand, Song Yun felt like he was seen through and asked, What do you mean? Mark replied with a warning, Don't do something that you will regret. It was then Song Yun understood that Mark had found out his plan somehow. He doesn't know that Mark could just find out one's identity by using sage eyes. But the fact that Mark wasn't making any move made him feel like this weapon seller was too arrogant. As a result, Song Yun confidently let out a smirk. I never did something that I regret. Song Yun had actually forgotten that he admitted defeat during their first bout itself, right before losing consciousness. However, as he went into a coma, his memory of the battles was a little bit hazed, and he angered further because a commoner pitied him and showed him mercy. And that aggravated his emotions. After losing once more, this time in front of everyone, his hatred only increased. The latest incident didn't help it either. Upon seeing no remorse in Song Yun, Mark furrowed his brows in displeasure before Song Yue grabbed his arms while making a face as if she was pleading with him. Mark quickly changed his expression and put up a fake smile before slightly bowing to Song Yun. Thank you for the gift. Song Yun nodded and turned around to walk away. Song Yue couldn't help but feel disappointed upon watching how her father didn't even take a glance at her. Just as she was about to call him, Cheng Xiao grabbed her hands and shook her head, indicating her not to do that. Cheng Xiao then looked at her son-in-law. I understand that you had a bad relationship with my husband, but I hope my daughter won't suffer because of her father's actions. Cheng Xiao, a deep voice was heard from her behind. Naturally, it belongs to her husband. Ah yes, coming. As Cheng Xiao stuttered a bit while replying to her husband, Mark said to her, Don't worry, Miss Cheng. I promise you that I will try my best to keep your daughter happy all the time. Thank you. Cheng Xiao smiled in satisfaction and turned around to walk away, following her husband back to the table and taking a seat. And then, it was the turn of the most important guest to hand over the gift. Emperor Shang and Lan Jingyi went together at first. After congratulating Mark, the emperor handed him a land deed by saying, I can understand that you might have been troubled every time you are using this land for your own uses. So, I think this is a more appropriate gift for your engagement. It is the land deed of the Genesis training ground. Mark was greatly surprised by the gift because the overall value of the plot is around 20,025,000 gold coins. On the other hand, people didn't think too much because whenever the emperor gave a gift to someone, it has to be something that is befitting his status. So, this didn't cause any surprises. However, it was only until Lan Jingyi took out a brocade box and opened it before gifting it to Song Yue. Mark saw a glowing dark blue-colored bracelet in the shape of a dragon that coiled around itself. Song Yue was stunned for a second as she stared at it. People couldn't see it, but as Lan Jingyi started speaking, they too were stunned. Chapter 258. Extravagant Gifts from the Family. Handing over the gift, Lan Jingyi explained, "This is called Shenlong bracelet, made out of heavenly jade mithril material. This is an heirloom I received from my mother when I was young. My daughter isn't interested to inherit it while my son is of fire attribute. While the wind might support him, the water will harm him. So, it is useless for him to have a bracelet that is suited for ladies. Your spirit attribute is water, so I think it will be beneficial to you. Maybe it can also help with those nightmares you usually have since your childhood." Mark was taken aback upon hearing her words. He couldn't help but inspect it right away. The details were just as his mother earlier depicted about the bracelet. Shenlong bracelet. Grade ruby semi-divine. Description: a bracelet of the spiritual dragon, Shenlong. Upon bonding with it, the user would be capable enough to summon wind, rains, and water. The bracelet also dispels the nightmares of the user, but to become its master, a pure soul is needed. Those who have more sins than virtues on their heads will be able to bond with it. Comment: not recommended for the host. Theoretically, the bracelet could fetch him millions of credits if he were to use the Devil's Hand skill on it. Unfortunately, he couldn't because it was now owned by Song Yue of all people. If Lan Jingyi hadn't given it to Song Yue, he would have probably thought of dismantling it, but now he could only fight his greed and stay silent. Meanwhile, Song Yue tried to refuse the gift, feeling that it was too precious. However, Lan Jingyi forced it onto her palms, telling her that she can return it after reaching 7th circle. Everyone knows that it is impossible for Song Yue to reach such a stage. So, everyone pretty much concluded that the bracelet will be with Song Yue until she dies. As for robbing it from her, no one dared to even think about it with Mark at her side. After Mark's parents were done with their gifts, his siblings came forward to give their own gifts. Unlike others' gifts, the second prince's gift was a little bit special. It was neither some heaven-defying item nor money. It was but a simple scroll with a list of items. Handing the scroll, Shang Wen said, "I'll be more practical than others, Lu Zhen. Rather than some extravagant gift that suits my position, I would like to give something that you'll like and probably need it." No one knows what is written on the scroll, but a glow of genuine happiness appeared on Mark as he read it. He looked at his half-brother. "Thank you. You can visit the store 1 week later again." This time even the second prince was surprised. "Really? You can arrange them within 1 week." Mark nodded in great enthusiasm. "All right then." Shang Wen nodded and returned to his parents. Song Yue became curious upon seeing her fiancé's expression. She asked in almost a whisper, "What is it?" Mark closed it and placed it in inventory. "I'll tell you later." Then finally, Shang Jiao appeared with her gift. She already apologized before the ceremony and was forgiven already. So her mood was quite good as she presented the gift to her brother. "I have no idea how many skills you know, but I guess having more is always a good thing. This is a copy of the manuscript left behind by the greatest beast tamer, Zai Chen. I think it might help you." This was actually the first time she has even attended a formal occasion like this, and it turned out to be her brother's. As she was aware that her brother had known about his birth, she decided to be more thoughtful in picking up the gift. Mark felt like his 7 points of luck is doing their work and happily accepted it, considering he needed it now more than anything. Unlike what everyone thinks of him, he was a complete novice summoner. Until now, it worked very well because he was able to beat those beasts using higher strength and force them to submit to him. But it will be different with a beast like Zheng that his grandfather left behind. Once Shang Jiao also backed away, the other guests started giving him pouches with gold coins, mostly 100-500 in number. Bai Zun gave about 1,000 gold coins, and General Yi Yin also gave about 500 gold coins. Even if their positions are high, they are salaried soldiers unlike the nobles or the imperial family. Not to mention, they aren't that close to Mark, and this isn't a wedding ceremony either. So, it was well within expectations. Surprisingly, the father of the girl, Yu Ah, who had a crush on Changbo, gave 2 high-quality ether crystals as a present. Those were at least worth 1,000 gold coins each. Naturally, Mark was taken aback. Despite not buying much from the store, he knew that her father is a wealthy man based on their high-quality clothing and horses. However, only this morning, Mark learned that Yu Huang is a landlord owning over 600 acres of farmland. Even though he was nothing but of commoner status, thousands of farmers work under him for fixed wages like servants of nobles. According to Zhang Ha, Lord Yu Huang is known to be too much of a miser, so it came as a surprise for him to get that much gift money from this guy of all the people. But then again, it isn't the right time to think about people's intentions. After all, Mark invited them for his own purposes. Once the gifting part is over, Mark cleared his throat and addressed the guests. "Thank you for attending this event and letting us share our happiness with all of you. Before all of you leave for the dining, I would like to take this opportunity to announce something." Everyone, including Song Yue, stared curiously at Mark. He did mention it in the invitations, so all the guests couldn't help but wonder what it might be. Is he going to leave? Will Mark announce the wedding date? Or will it be something important like fire seed? Is he going to use this opportunity to introduce a powerful weapon of his? It won't be that Song Yue is going to become a mother or something, right? Different guests have different thoughts as they stared at the weapon seller. Mark then spoke. 2 weeks later, on the morning of Monday, I'll be organizing an expo. I mean a weapon exhibition at this same venue. People from other kingdoms will also be invited to this event. These weapons I'm going to introduce will be one of a kind that won't be sold to the public. I can't give you details, but one of those items will be powerful enough to destroy even a bunch of 7-circle experts, even from several kilometers away. However, my manufacturer wishes for this to be in the hands of people with a certain responsibility, not be sold recklessly to anyone who orders it. So an auction will be conducted for booking the rights of buying them for a brief time period, based on the weapon. That means those weapons will not be sold to anyone else during that time. Interested buyers can visit the venue directly on the day of the expo. Chapter 259. Killing 8-circle experts like a walk in the park. He is a weapons seller, all right. He wouldn't miss an opportunity to make the business even in an engagement ceremony. Shang Wen shook his head with a smile. Some disdained his approach, while the others were amazed upon hearing about such a weapon. The emperor belonged to the latter. He had a promise with Mark regarding 3 attack helicopters, but since there's an opportunity to strengthen the imperial army, why shouldn't he take his chances? Fortunately, he wouldn't have that much competition. Or so does he think. Soon, everyone went to the dining section and sat down. Elena and butler robots served food to the tables. All the guests have visited the store, so they were familiar with those robots. But instead of explaining the weapons, they were acting as trained manservants. Elena worked hard during the past couple of days just for this occasion. "Okay, Song Yue, let's have lunch," Mark asked his fiancée once every guest had taken the table. Song Yue nodded. As they walked toward an empty table, suddenly the emperor called them, "Lu Zhen, Song Yue." As they turned their heads to look at the emperor along with other guests, Shang Fu said, "Join us." Usually, the couple will join the table of the groom's family, but since Mark is alone and Song Yun doesn't appear to invite his daughter and future son-in-law to his table, the emperor offered the couple to should join the imperial family for dining. At first, Mark rejected it, but as Shang Fu insisted that every citizen of the empire is his family, the former felt like he could at least dine with the people who gave him expensive gifts. If he had looked at them like a family, Mark would have been disgusted to even stay there. But because he treated them as guests in his heart, he was able to eat with them while enjoying the delicacies. Lan Jingyi and Shang Jiao were happy to see that Mark had to follow the custom even by great coincidence, while Song Yun, on the other hand, was brimming in great anger. Despite the fact that Elena's cooking skill is comparable to one of the best chefs in the empire, even a dessert left a sour taste in his mouth. Alongside the normal dishes, Mark also introduced Western dishes of his world to the emperor. At the same time, Alan and Elena were doing the same to the other guests. Some found those new dishes weird and others found them fascinating. Of course, Elena didn't forget her mission of collecting reviews from the guests regarding the dishes from Mark's past world. The guests were reminded of those restaurant managers who do the same when introducing new dishes to wealthy noble customers. In roughly about an hour, the members of the imperial family along with Mark and Song Yue were done with eating. Some are still in the middle of the dining, but no one needed to wait for anyone to finish anyway. Soon, Emperor Shang and his family alongside General Yi Yin left on the giant stingray, which was hovering in the sky hundreds of meters away, until it received the call of its master. Bai Zun didn't tag along with them because of some reason. And once the giant stingray was out of sight, Song Yun, who didn't even seem like he ate much during the past hour, abruptly rose to his feet. Until now, the atmosphere was quite peaceful, and everyone is also enjoying the delicacies. But all of a sudden, Song Yun spoke to his three guys in knight armors who were quietly standing behind him and his wife like guards. "What are you waiting for? Kill him and get my daughter back." Bai Zun was stunned in surprise. "What?" Everyone stopped whatever they are doing, whether it is eating or talking. As his voice isn't small, even Mark heard it clearly. In fact, he smiled a little bit as he mumbled, "It is time." Without wasting time, he launched his bloodline skill. Absolute freezing. Before they even reached Mark, the ice erupted from him, freezing everything and everyone except for Elena and Alan. Even Bai Zun wasn't spared from behind frozen. The crisis was averted right, but Mark didn't dare to be careless, as two of those guards are at the elementary stage of the legendary realm, low 8 circle, and the remaining one is at the peak stage of Exalt realm, peak 7 circle. With far higher ether particles than him, they could resist his skill effect and might be able to free within 30 seconds at most. At the same time, he doesn't want to depend on Bai Zun, as he was a cousin of Song Yun and might turn a blind eye. So he made his next move without bothering to give any opportunity to his enemies at all. Open inventory. Mark then took out an advancement pill from his inventory and quickly swallowed it. Ding, you absorbed the advancement pill, intermediate. Each of your stat is increased by 1 for the next 60 minutes. Ding, your ether energy temporarily increased to 1,000,000 points. Ding, you temporarily received a new summon, Thunder Shark. Ding, you temporarily received a new summon, Ice Tiger. He doesn't plan on summoning the beasts, which are only in 6 circle. Instead, he went on ahead, summoning the lightning clone, which might consume the same 1% ether for every second regardless of his total amount, but has far greater strength than the enemies. Activate lightning clone. Once he unleashed his skill, the lightning clone was summoned. Because of the pill, his base intelligence stat rose to 6.2. Then, the amulet of magic further boosted it by 25%. So, his overall intelligence stat ended up at 7.75. The lightning clone was one whole realm above his maximum stat. As a result, a lightning clone with the cultivation level of peak 8 circle was summoned. Mark felt that this was enough. Looking at the 3 frozen guards who somehow could move their eyes while trying to use their ether energy to escape the frozen state, Mark gave an order: kill them, rip their skin and take out their hearts. He doesn't have any mercy, and neither does he care whether drawing blood at an event like an engagement ceremony will bring bad luck to his relationship with Song Yue. The only thing on his mind is to show everyone that he is no longer someone who needed to depend on weapons to kill his enemies. As the 3 guards were almost about to escape the frozen state while using all of their ether energy, the lightning clone charged toward them and pierced their armors with its bare hand. It forcefully took out the hearts from their respective bodies one after another. Naturally, due to its overwhelming strength, the clone was unsuccessful in bringing out the hearts without damage. As the hearts were crushed anyway, Mark dismissed the clone and walked towards those bodies with holes in their chests. He planned to store them in his inventory due to their high-quality armor and the storage rings, and later present them as evidence at the court. But upon remembering Bai Zun's presence, Mark only ordered Alan to strip their armor and storage rings, placing them in his inventory. Roughly after 40 seconds of time, Bai Zun escaped from the frozen state, and he appeared to be speechless. He might have been frozen earlier, but he saw how easily Mark defeated those three. Another 20 seconds later, Song Yun was free, but his expression changed a lot. Like Bai Zun, he too watched the one-sided massacre. As a person who knew their strength beforehand, he could only become afraid of Mark. There was no arrogance or hatred left. Only fear could be seen on his face. Bai Zun then shouted, "Song Yun, what the hell was that?" Song Yun was, however, silent. He could only stare at Mark, who was staring back at him coldly. Another 60 seconds passed away, and the ice disappeared on its own. Most of the guests alongside Song Yue started shivering because of the extreme cold temperature they just experienced. It was then Mark finally moved. Walking forward at a slow pace, he spoke, "Song Yun, I showed mercy to you 3 times until now, and even a while I gave you a warning. However, you became so arrogant that you didn't even care about it. But now you have crossed the line. You dared to collude with the Church of Doom and attempt to kill me. I'm at the end of my patience." Song Yun, who was utterly terrified, lost his balance and took the support of the chair as he took a glance at the dead bodies once again. Church of Doom. Bai Zun's facial expression changed all of a sudden. On the other hand, Song Yue and Cheng Zhao appeared to be too shocked that words cannot escape their mouths at the moment. Chapter 260. Handing over Song Yun's fate to his cousin. Mark has dismissed the light clone and is standing very near to Song Yun, but the latter completely lost his courage to even try to attack him, despite the fact that he is a 7-circle spirit warrior. But then again, it is not surprising. While being in a frozen state, he witnessed legendary realm experts killed like it was nothing. How would he be a match for this enemy of his? Until now, Song Yun refused to believe that Mark was strong enough to kill Cerberus on his own. In those 2 battles that he had with Mark so far, he lost to the latter's unique but powerful puppets. He also knew that Mark is invincible inside the store. This is why he was confident in killing Mark when he is outside without the protection of any puppet. The presence of 2 8-circle realm experts and a peak 7-circle realm expert only boosted his confidence, even after taking the 8-circle Beast King, the presence of Bai Zun and Shang Wen into consideration. Still, the reason he didn't launch an attack in the presence of the Emperor is that he feared that either Queen Consort or the Princess might become a casualty. If that happens, his clan would be done for. But the end result struck him so hard that he couldn't even breathe properly, as Mark stood a couple of meters away from him. Meanwhile, Bai Zun stayed silent. He doesn't know whether he should interfere or not. Attempting to kill Mark in front of everyone is already a crime, but a minister like him colluding with the members of a banned organization would be subjected to life imprisonment. Maybe death is an easy way out, thought the Supreme Commander. Suddenly, he remembered Song Yue. As he took a glance at her, he saw the lady was just staring at them in silence. It is difficult to know what's going on in her mind. Fortunately or unfortunately, Mark had different plans. The moment he took Song Yue under his protection, he knew that he cannot kill her father, but he wouldn't let him off either. As Mark was thinking about how to punish this noble who never learns his lesson, Chen Zhao finally stepped forward to beg her future son-in-law, "Please show mercy on his life, Lu Zhen. If not for his sake, do it for Song Yue. Let him get punished by the law instead. Don't take his life at a happy occasion like." As Cheng Zhao was trying her best to convince her future son-in-law, Mark interrupted her. "Don't worry, Ms. Cheng. Both of you are still guests that I invited, and I won't forget my manners as a host." Supreme Commander Bai, he called out to Bai Zun, who was staring there. Ah yes, Bai Zun sounded a bit nervous. In fact, even at first glance, Bai Zun had figured out that these three guards who appeared to be in the sixth circle realm were suppressing their strength greatly. Once Song Yun ordered them, they stopped suppressing their strength, and eventually it became clear to him that they are far stronger than him. Then he saw Mark take a pill that strikingly resembled an advancement pill before killing the three of them. As far as Bai Zun's knowledge is concerned, the advancement pills effect loses as it increases the grade. For example, a low 4 circle expert takes an intermediate pill. He will become a low 5 circle. However, if a low 5 circle takes the same pill, usually he becomes a peak 5 circle. Of course, there will be exceptions. Upon watching the lightning clone's attacks, Bai Zun estimated that its strength is near a peak stage of the legendary realm. This only suggests that either Mark was at least at the elementary stage of the legendary realm, low 8 circle, or this special lightning clone could be summoned by taking a pill that looks like an advancement pill. Either way, Bai Zun now felt that even if he takes an advancement pill and uses his semi-divine weapon, he might not be able to defeat Mark, and that feeling of helplessness made him very uncomfortable. Anyway, back to the present. Bai Zun responded to Mark's call and looked at him to see what he might order. Mark then said, "I will follow the law. You are the supreme commander and you are also the witness. The evidence is there on the ground." He pointed at the dead bodies. "I want the Imperial Palace to investigate it impartially and confirm whether my accusation is true or not. I hope you guys won't disappoint me by showing mercy to Song Yun due to your familial relationship and giving injustice to me. As for their belongings, I'm keeping them as compensation for ruining my engagement ceremony." After saying what he had in his mind, Mark then looked at Cheng Zio. "I believe you were satisfied with this." "Thank you," she bowed in gratefulness. Mark then turned around to walk toward his fiancée, who was just standing there like a statue. Upon reaching her, he asked as softly as possible, "Are you all right?" Without saying anything related to the incident, she turned around. "Let's return home, Lu Zhen." She then started walking away without taking a glance at either of her parents. Mark then looked at the other guests and bowed slightly. "I apologize for the inconvenience, but I guess we will have to end the ceremony. You can continue to dine. My siblings will be with you." After giving a glance to Song Yun for one last time, he walked out of the venue. He silently followed her upstairs. As she opened the door and was about to enter, Mark grabbed her hand. "Wait, let's talk. I can't let your father go unpunished, but I can forget this matter and—" Before he finished, Song Yue interrupted him. "I want to be alone for some time to organize my thoughts." Mark freed her arm and nodded. "Okay, when you are ready to talk, knock on the door." She then closed the door and sat on the bed. Grabbing her head, she let out a deep sigh. "Everything is perfect until a while ago. Why does it have to turn out like this?" Mark was too happy with the presents he received and the high-quality equipment he had looted, and doesn't want his mood to turn worse by thinking about Song Yun. By losing courage, he was sure that this leader of the Song clan would no longer try to harm him again. And even if he is wrong and Song Yun would return for revenge, Mark was confident about beating him to death. He didn't dwell on the matter, but unknowingly he was already being soft because of Song Yue. After all, this is a guy who killed people without hesitation, even when it is not necessary. After clearing his thoughts about others, Mark returned to his room and locked the door before opening the inventory. He first took out the equipment he looted from the bodies of assassins. The armor set was all gold grade, so he didn't bother to read their details and directly dismantled them. 12 of the armor equipment yielded him a total of 3522 credits, and 2 of those daggers, which were used by the 7-circle expert, also belonged to gold grade, but gave him 852 credits due to their higher quality. Regarding the other 2, which belonged to 8-circle assassins, they were of platinum grade. Because of that, Mark hesitated to dismantle them. Instead of acquiring 6,000 to 8,000 additional credits, he decided to hand over them to Elena. As she was also an assassin-type robot, He felt that they will be suited for her, although it will be a bit of a hassle for her to use them when she can just use far more powerful Protoss daggers. At the very least, she would be happy to receive a present. Okay, let's see if they have anything in their storage rings. It would be nice if they have ether crystals. Mark hopefully connected his consciousness with one of the two gold-grade storage rings using the ether energy. It belonged to the young seven-circle expert. Apart from usual clothing and food, he found a heap of ether crystals of different sizes, talismans, different pills, and a scythe with a long handle. He intently stared at the scythe that was giving off a strange aura before taking it out of the ring. As it appeared in his hands, Mark felt its weight. It was as light as a feather. Mark felt amazed. I wonder what metal it is made of. Just then, the scythe started shaking violently, as if it wanted to escape his hand. Mark acted fast and placed it in the inventory, before inspecting its details by clicking on its image on the inventory slot. Crystal Plus. Mark couldn't keep his calm as he stared at the holographic screen. Chapter 261, Song Yue's Request. The Doom Scythe. Grade Crystal Plus Semi-Divine. Description: the scythe is forged by a myriad of metals of which adamantium constitutes about 12%. Once belonged to the Necromancer King, it passed down to several elders of the Church of Doom, eventually landing in the hands of Wen Hua. Recommended users: Elena Lu Zhen. Ding, you received a trading request. Exchange the Doom Scythe for 1,900,000 credits. 1.9 million, Mark contemplated on the matter. Usually he would say no, but his debts with the system made him ponder on it. When he thought deeply, he realized that it was a good offer, considering he would earn less than 1 million credits if he were to dismantle it. But then again, the weapon is a bit too precious to give up away. Not to mention, even if he converts the remainder into gold coins, they won't last long, and one day, he will still fall into debt again. Then, what's the use of trading it right now? In the end, he decided to keep it as he couldn't bear to sell it because of its 10% buff on the user. That means Elena would be able to fight evenly with Bai Zun if she uses this weapon. But before he gives it to Elena, he should make sure that the weapon wouldn't try to escape again. That means he needed the system's help. And it won't do it for free. Now it is only a matter of price. System, I want the weapon to bound it to Elena. What price should I pay in exchange for your help? He asked. As always, the system is ready with its reply. Ding, M134 minigun ether version is the required price. No way, give another option. Mark might not be using this weapon, but he wanted to research it for developing advanced ether weapons. Moreover, he was also aware that whatever weapons the system is interested to take back, that thing is going to be important for sure. So, he can never accept the offer. Thankfully, the system wasn't as inflexible as it was at the beginning. It gave a secondary option. Ding, 50,000 credits for purifying the weapon and binding it to Elena's consciousness. It can be done. Mark knew that this will only increase his debt further by 250,000 gold coins, but he felt like it was worth it. However, he didn't readily agree to the deal. It's because there were 2 more storage rings. What if there was a better weapon in them? That's why he decided to check the other 2. Putting aside the ring, he then connected his consciousness to the second gold-grade ring and found only pouches and ether crystals of different sizes. Okay, that's a pity. Next, he then inspected the items inside the remaining storage ring, which is of platinum grade. And just as he expected, there was another special weapon inside. This one was a sword of semi-divine grade, but of lower quality, diamond. The system only offered a measly 270,000 credits, but he traded it right away without bothering to negotiate. Once the trade is done, he first paid off the credit debt including the interest. Ding, 125,877 credits were deducted as a debt payment. Ding, your credit limit increased by 12,587. New limit equals 172,587 credits. System, purify the Doom Scythe. Take credits as payment for your services. Ding, do you wish to use your credit limit or directly pay from the account? Since the credit limit could be increased just by repayment, he chose the first option. Ding, 50,000 credits were reduced from the credit limit. Available, 122,587 credits. Ding, please wait for 1 hour to complete the process of binding. Mark then opened the character stats once again and paid off the debt that he just took. Ding, 50,000 credits have been deducted as a debt payment. Ding, your credit limit increased by 5,000. New limit, 177,587 credits. After all the deductions, he now had a little over 98k credits remaining to be spent. Mark then dismantled those platinum-grade daggers, which he originally kept aside for Elena before he discovered the scythe. As a result, Mark earned another 7224 credits. After transferring all the pills and a few dozen ether crystals and ores of different sizes to his inventory, he dismantled the 3 storage rings too. It netted him a profit of 2886 credits. Overall combined, Mark now had over 108k credits in his account without any credit debt. And then there's a semi-divine grade weapon that he kept with him, a low-quality semi-divine grade weapon that he sold to the system. And then there are over a few dozen high-quality ether crystals and ores he acquired from the storage rings. Indeed, he scored very big in this event. If there are any more hard feelings left for Song Yun, those were also evaporated by the big gains. Everything is good and all, but what now? Should he proceed with increasing his ether points right away, or should he go on a shopping spree? Mark wondered for a while. Even if I want to spend credits, what is there to buy? More attributes, pills to improve intelligence or other stats, skills, or just convert them into gold. In the current situation, choosing any of those solutions would be like wasting credits. If bloodlines and unique weapons are unlocked, it would have been a different story though. After thinking for a bit, Mark decided to save credits for now and took out a bunch of ether ores from the inventory. He started absorbing them, as he doesn't have anything better to do anyway. Half an hour later. Ding, you absorbed high-quality ether ore, 112 carats. Ether energy has been increased by 3444 points. Okay, that's good, let's keep going. He went for the second ore. Roughly about 10 minutes later, as he is still in the process of refining the ether energy that was absorbed into his body, a knock was heard on the door. Knock, knock. Mark opened his eyes right away and got down from the bed, coming. As he opened the door, he found a calm-looking Song Yue standing outside. Ready to talk? He asked. Song Yue nodded and walked to the living room. He followed her and took a seat on the couch next to her. Should I speak first or will you? He asked. I have a request, replied Song Yue. Okay, go on. Song Yue then took a deep breath and said, I won't ask you to forgive my father. I just want to meet my father and tell him something. Can you arrange it, please? Mark didn't know what was going on in her mind, as her words and her expression aren't matching. But then again, he already decided to forgive Song Yun and promised her the freedom to walk away from him whenever she wants. So he agreed to her request. All right. Thank you, and please speak your mind. As Song Yue told him that it is his turn to speak, Mark shook his head. It no longer mattered, but if I had to speak something, then I have some advice. Use that bracelet without any hesitation. Queen Consort Lan is from the imperial family and she wouldn't miss things like them. But it's too precious. Song Yue wasn't convinced. No, it's not. Mark then casually waved his hand. In the future, I can sell a few advanced weapons to the imperial palace to repay that favor. You don't need to worry about it. Are those the weapons you are going to display in the exhibition? Song Yue asked curiously. Yup, Mark nodded in response. Suddenly, a thought appeared in his mind and he asked her, do you want to see them? Oh, really? Song Yue's expression changed all of a sudden. She was keeping quiet lately because of her situation, but she was actually addicted to a gun long ago. Upon seeing a smile on his fiancée, Mark thought that she cheered up a bit. He then rose to his feet. Wait for a bit. I'll change into some comfortable wear. We'll go for a ride. You can also learn how to operate armored vehicles like Panzer and LMV. After that, we can fly around a bit to have an aerial view of the city." Sure, Song Yue's smile grew wider at the thought of driving those, and was also excited to get onto the helicopter. The Doom's Tower, Western Moon Kingdom. Somewhere in the wilderness, bordered between Western Moon and Leon Empire, a 2000 FT 600M majestic tower is seen as if it is touching the sky. It is located at a very remote location where there is no village nearby within a 50 km radius. There are mystical symbols engraved on the tower from the bottom to the top, making it more mysterious to the spectators. And on one of the floors of that tower, several hooded figures were sitting at a large round table. There were at least 16 seats in number, but only 12 were filled. Of the 12 seats, one looked very special. It resembles a king's throne, although its body is quite long compared to the rest of the measurements. A frail-looking old man with several wrinkles on his face was seen sitting on the throne. He looked like he was about to die at any moment, but he is the strongest in the room. Sitting beside him is another old man who is about 160 years old. It is the remaining Grand Elder of the church, Tangju. He spoke to the leader, first Grand Elder Xilim, and now Elder Wen Hua, Elder Gong Zan, and Elder Yu Chun. Not only did Shen Niu come back to power, but we also lost 4 important figures, Your Grace, all because of that one person. As the other elders agreed save for one, Gu Ya, the leader of the Church of Doom, spoke, "The seed of fire will be born very soon. Until then, no one is allowed to leave." Chapter 262, 213 Years of Imprisonment. Courtroom, Imperial Palace. In the evening, after the sunset, the Crown Prince and Second Prince, 5 ministers, Supreme Commander Bai, Grand Secretariat Li, and several officials were summoned to the courtroom. Everyone knows why they were summoned, but no one is daring to speak a word to the infuriated emperor. Soon, a person was dragged to the courtroom in chains. Unlike other prisoners, his appearance was quite dignified because of those expensive clothes, although his facial expression tells that he was quite afraid. Obviously, it was Song Yun. As he reached the center of the courtroom, Song Yun fell to his knees right away and begged, "Your Majesty, please show mercy. I know that I was wrong. Please give me one chance to redeem myself." In response to his pleading, the emperor rose to his feet without hiding his anger and roared, "Do you even deserve mercy? One chance. Do you think I wasn't aware of what you did? Lord Song, for the past 24 years, you have embezzled hundreds of thousands of gold coins from the funds that the Public Work Ministry was allotted. This is your first crime. You locked up your daughter and tried to force her into marriage to someone. This is your second crime. When she escaped on her own, you lied to the emperor that she was abducted. This is your third crime. After she returned to the clan on her own, you tried to kill her to uphold your false honor and attempted to turn into suicide. This is your fourth crime. Your hatred toward Lu Zhen became so high that you lost your intelligence and values. You dared to smuggle the elders of the Church of Doom, which is a banned organization, right into the heart of the empire, the imperial city. This is your fifth crime. You colluded with those elders of the Church of Doom and tried to kill Lu Zhen in broad daylight. This is your sixth crime. And evidence of every crime was also submitted to the court. Do you still think you deserve a chance? Tell me." Song Yue was stunned by the words of the emperor. How? Even if the web organization is super powerful, it is very difficult to gather evidence against him on all these things. His mind went blank from the shock he experienced and kowtowed once again, begging for forgiveness. "Crown Prince Zexian, tell me the punishment for these crimes." The emperor looked like he decided not to show any mercy to his loyal minister. Maybe he blamed himself for becoming soft-hearted, and probably wanted to make an example out of Song Yun, who happened to touch his nerve, by doing an idiotic act and failed. Or Mark's announcement might have influenced his decision. If he can attain those weapons that can kill 7 circle spirit warriors, just like how the phoenix gets reborn from the ashes, the Phoenix Empire might also revive itself to become the strongest empire on the continent. Whatever the case, Emperor Shang decided to go hard on this guy who was his close friend, once upon a time. Shang Zexian, the crown prince whose punishment from the public trial was over, then spoke. Embezzlement 35 years, domestic violence 3 years, lying to emperor 98 years, attempted murder of kin 14 years, an act of terrorism, death penalty or 56 years, attempted murder of a stranger 7 years. Overall punishment is of either 213 years of imprisonment or the death penalty, Your Majesty. He ended with a respectful bow. A seven-circle spirit warrior usually can live for more than 250 years old and less than 300 years old. So, in theory, Song Yun might be able to live even after ending the punishment. Of course, the emperors can also pardon or lessen the punishment at any time. It was a better choice compared to death penalty. However, even decades of imprisonment will make go mad because of harsh conditions. How could the patriarch of a major noble clan bear such treatment for a long time? Naturally, it scared Song Yun the most. He wanted to run away, but his ether energy was sealed, and there was a strength suppression seal placed on his body too, which made his physique as weak as a 1-circle or 2-circle. No, please show mercy, Your Majesty. Cousin, please help me. Brother Lin, please help me, Your Majesty. My ancestors served the imperial family with utmost loyalty. I never intended to betray the empire. It's all because of that damned commoner. He brings destruction to the empire. He needed to die. I'm only loyal to the throne. Please show mercy. Song Yun spouted whatever words that came to his mind as he begged the emperor and others to not give him such punishment. But even at that moment, he couldn't let go of his hatred toward Mark despite the fact that he is afraid of him. The emperor was only infuriated even more. He signaled the guards to take him away. As Song Yun was getting dragged away pathetically, some enjoyed the moment while others shuddered in fear. Once he was out of sight, Emperor Shang took his seat with a look of irritation on his face. Grand Secretariat Li, send an official notification to the Song clan that Song Yun is permanently relieved of his duties as the Minister of Public Works, and tell them to appoint his successor within 3 days of time. Also, going by the law, just like with every traitor, we are confiscating all the personal properties of Song Yun except for his current residence, which will be shifted to his wife's name. The usual pension shall be provided to her, equaling the same as a retired lieutenant general. Whether Song clan looks after her or not, the imperial palace shall not punish her because of her foolish husband. He didn't say the exact number because a retired lieutenant general would only have a pension of 300 gold coins per month, and for a person like Cheng Zio, who was the first lady of the Song clan, it could be like an insult in some people's eyes. That's why he compared it to a high-position military officer. But then again, in reality, he was being merciful here. Usually, the families of traitors will be exiled from the imperial city or even the empire. Keeping Mark's relation with Song Yue in mind, he didn't punish Song Yun's wife. After the matter with Song Yun is over, the emperor dismissed everyone and returned to his chamber. He didn't even eat dinner that evening and just went asleep. As an emperor, he was clearly angry at Song Yun who crossed his bottom line, but as a friend, he felt bad for him. There's nothing that can be done when clear pieces of evidence are pointing at the culprit. If he didn't punish him, then it will give rise to a rebellion and cause unrest in the empire. Lying flat on his bed, Shang Fu then let out a deep sigh as he remembered his childhood memories with Song Yun when they played together, eat together, and sparred together. You fool! 2 decades ago, you and Jai Cheng opened my eyes, making me realize that hatred is the most terrible thing that can happen to a human. Those who are consumed by hatred will only bring trouble not only to others but also to themselves. When that happens, even our own kin will turn against us. How did you forget it? The emperor closed his eyes and went asleep with an empty stomach. Meanwhile, in the underground jail, Song Yun was currently sitting against the wall in depression. It was actually a temporary jail where culprits are detained before they will be shifted to the main prison. As he was alone, several thoughts appeared in his mind. It was at that moment he heard the footsteps. Song Yun raised his head. Soon the figure got closer and reached the cell. It was a familiar face. Elder Mu. A ray of hope appeared on Song Yue's face as he saw his most trusted elder and partner in crime, Song Mu. Hurriedly dragging his body to the cell, he begged him, "You are the only one who can help me in this situation. Convince Bai Zun to talk to the Emperor. I don't want to go to Black Citadel." Song Mu stared at him for a few seconds and opened his mouth. "I'm afraid that's not possible, Song Yun." Song Yun was stunned for a second, not just because of the words but because of the tone used by the elder. The other party sounded cold. "What do you mean?" he asked. Song Mu then said, "Are you that dumb to realize it? All the evidence against you was provided by the Song clan. The elders turned against you." "What?" Song Yun's eyes widened. Chapter 263. If you have to blame someone, blame yourself. It took 7 elders, me, Crown Prince, Zhang clan and Nai clan to finally put you away for good. Now Song Chang will take your place. And with the firm backing from 6 of the 12 major noble clans, Song, Nai, Zhang, Sui, Jai and Han, the imperial throne will belong to Crown Prince for sure. Knowing that Song Yun No was already finished and wouldn't likely get out of the prison, Elder Song Mu revealed the plot behind his demise. "You bastard!" Song Yun trusted Song Mu the most, so his words sounded like thunder roared in his head over and over. Realization dawned upon him. He caught the cell bars in rage. "I trusted you." Song Mu replied with a shrug of his shoulders. "I know that you trust me. That's why it became easier to deceive you." "You?" Song Yun's face was so red that he might collapse due to the heavy blood rush at any second. Elder Song Mu then continued, "Actually, you know what? I never betrayed you because I was never on your side to begin with. To know of your plans constantly and inform Song Chang, I patiently stood on your side for the past 2 decades. However, we couldn't act hastily because of your grandfather. We are biding our time and waiting for you to fall out of the Emperor's favor, but other than being corrupt like every official, you wouldn't just do any crimes that can't be forgiven. So what can we do? We have only an option of assassination. I should admit that you have really kept your cultivation hidden for so long. However, you made the mistake of trusting me. If you hadn't revealed to me that you broke through to 5 Circle nearly 2 decades ago, we would have tried to assassinate you by using poison long ago. But too bad that you turned out to be a spirit warrior with high cultivation, contrary to what we expected. As your strength slowly increased over time, it only became tougher and tougher for us to hold onto that hope. Do you know how stressful it was for me? We tried to harm you mentally by killing Song Yue, but it failed every single time no matter which organization we gave the task to. On the other hand, you started to get more powerful by forging a marriage alliance with Zhang clan using your daughter. With Lin clan as an ally, the chances for the crown prince to attain the throne started becoming bleak. Then Lu Zhen arrived into our lives. Whether it is your bad luck or our great luck, you picked a fight with him on your very first meeting and went into a deep unconscious state coma as a result. We thought the heavens blessed us. Zhang clan's grand elder breaking through to 7 Circle and breaking your engagement, and then forging a marriage alliance with Han clan, all came in our favor. Unfortunately for us, Bai Zun came to your save and you even managed to break through to 7 Circle. All our hopes are crushed. However, your enmity with Lu Zhen once again gave us hope. We used it as an opportunity to dig up your grave. And look at you. You had your eyes blinded by hatred and fell into the coffin that we quietly placed behind you. Then, all that's left is to nail the coffin. The elders collectively worked hard to find your ledger, and also became witnesses for your actions against Song Yue. The Zhang clan stopped the Jai clan from supporting you. The Nai clan bribed the Church of Nuwa with some unique dwarven weapons and put them away from this matter. The frustrated you went on ahead with your plan, all alone, without taking the Emperor's desire to acquire those powerful weapons of Lu Zhen into consideration. Now you are finally buried with no way out of this abyss. Honestly, if you ponder carefully, We aren't the ones who are responsible for your situation. It is the result of your own idiotic actions. So if you have to blame someone then, blame yourself for supporting Shang Wei. Blame yourself for looking down on elders and treating everyone like your servants, and blame yourself for getting consumed by hatred. Song Yun didn't respond this time as he has no strength to even shout. He just kneeled on the floor with a dazed look on his face, while Elder Song Mu turned around to walk away. After a long time, tears finally escaped his eyes. Sitting against the wall, he cried non-stop while muttering something. The next day morning, Genesis Weapon Store. The time was around 6 o'clock, and the sun is still shy, hiding behind the clouds, but there is enough visibility around for the citizens to go for a morning walk or enjoy the fresh air in the peaceful atmosphere. But for those who stay in the Hanga district, it was quite noisy, and people were forced to wake up as the gunshots were heard quite often. Inside the training ground, Song Yue was learning how to operate a panzer. To his surprise, Song Yue turned out to be quite a genius. She easily learned how to drive the vehicle within just 10 minutes. And by half an hour, she even scared him by drifting while keeping the tank's speed at maximum. After realizing that Song Yue easily perfected how to drive properly, Mark was no longer on the vehicle. He got onto his own panzer and asked her to follow him. While doing that, they went into a tag game. As a result, Song Yue started drifting along the corners. Mark got worried that the tank will flip due to her recklessness because she is still a novice. As Song Yue was only at 2 circle, she would be hurt if that happens. So, he had to stop the game and went on with training her on how to operate the machine guns while driving. Song Yue's task is to shoot the moving panzer that Mark was in. The 2 machine guns of this panzer made by the system could be operated by the driver. However, it would just become a little bit hard to control them while driving because you only have 2 hands and there are 3 different types of controls. Mark and Song Yue worked on that. While it didn't have much problem for Song Yue, who appeared to be good at moving her hands, the price turned out to be a big problem for her. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, nearly 140 of 7.9 ammo were consumed in training, which is like spending 140 gold coins. Since she is no longer the heiress of the Song clan, Song Yue knew that she had to be a little bit thrifty. So, she took her time and put more focus on accuracy rather than just blindly shooting the enemy. Of course, it is easier said than done, considering that machine guns have a high rate of fire. At around 7:30 in the morning, the panzers stopped and both of them got down from the vehicle. As soon as they exited the training ground, both of them spotted a familiar horse carriage parked nearby with a familiar hooded figure sitting there like a statue. Song Yue's face glowed in happiness and she fastened her pace. Upon entering the store, she saw her friend was there, chatting with Alan. "Zuzu," called out Song Yue. Lin Zhu turned around and she too was smiling big as both of them hugged each other before Lin Zhu greeted Mark, followed by an apology. Mark waved his hand. "I can understand your position, so it's a no big deal." Dear, we have something to talk about in private. We'll join you for breakfast. Tell Elena that I'm fine with anything." She blushed a little bit, trying to keep up the appearance before Lin Zhu before dragging her upstairs. Mark was slightly taken aback at first, but he managed to read between the lines, which indicates that Song Yue will not reveal the truth about their fake relationship even to Lin Zhu. That was enough for him. He nodded and followed them upstairs after waiting for a minute. By the time he reached the living room, they were already in Song Yue's room. He wasn't curious about their conversation and just went back to his room to have a nice shower. Alan, meanwhile, continued to operate the store alongside robots. "You pretty much got accustomed to this place," Lin Zhu commented as she casually sat on the bed before adding, "But then again, you are supposed to be comfortable in your husband's house anyway." "We aren't married yet," replied Song Yue, blushing again. Chapter 264. A humongous offer from the imperial family. Ever since Song Yue ran away from home, she was basically out of touch with the current affairs of the kingdom, and used to depend on Lin Zhu to know anything that is happening outside of the store. Lin Zhu was also aware of it. That's why she had gathered various pieces of news through her servants before making her visit. For a while, she was telling her the developments that were happening around. Song Yue also appeared to be very curious, and she patiently listened to everything, expressing her views from time to time. But eventually, the heiress of Lin had to bring up the most sensitive topic for Song Yue, as she felt that her friend deserved to know. Your father had received a life imprisonment sentence of 213 years on various charges. The clan elders turned against him. However, to her surprise, Song Yue didn't even flinch at the matter. She simply nodded. One can't escape from karma. Everyone has to face the consequences of their actions. Lin Zhu felt neither hatred nor love in her friend's voice. It was as if Song Yue was commenting about a random stranger. She then said, "Look, you know me. I'm always on your side. It's just my father told me that Uncle Song's sentence can be reduced by 24 years if you and Lu Zhen decide to forgive him. Of course, it doesn't help your father's situation. 189 years or 213 years, both are the same either way, but I want you to know that you had that choice." Song Yue shook her head in response. The previous me would have probably chosen it without hesitation, but now I no longer wanted to. Lin Zhu stared at her in silence. She felt like her friend's heart was probably broken by Song Yun's act. She no longer dwelled on the topic and started talking about something else. After they had breakfast together, Lin Zhu returned home while Song Yue sat at the reception desk as the manager. Mark was too free, so he used the time to create those expensive 9 bullets just to keep the stock. Some time passed away. Chang Bo came to work at 9 o'clock as always, and Shang Jiao came to work at 11 o'clock. There were a few customers before noon, and she and Chang Bo worked together, giving the androids, especially Alan, plenty of rest. After the lunch break, the business hours continued at 1 o'clock. Roughly about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the second prince made a visit to the store. Mark's face glowed in happiness to see his #1 customer. Usually, Song Yue or Chang Bo greets a customer, but Shang Wen was greeted by Mark. "Welcome to Genesis Weapon Store, Your Highness." After staying with him for several days, Song Yue could somehow discern his expressions, and she was confident that it was a genuine one. Maybe it's because of the engagement gift. What was in that scroll? Song Yue forgot about it because of everything that happened after that. But now she really couldn't help but be curious. The second prince then stated the reason for his visit. "They were already packed," replied Mark with a smile. He then glanced at the teenager. "Chang Bo, go to the storage room and bring the boxes kept in the left corner. Shang Jiao, you go and help him." He also sent his sister along with the whelpier to carry the boxes. After all, she needed to finish her punishment right. One after another, both of them brought about 100 small boxes, with each one containing an AK-47. Once all of them were absorbed by Shang Wen's storage ring, Mark started walking toward the exit. "Please follow me to the training ground." The second prince nodded in understanding and followed him to the large, empty, barren land inside a compound wall with wire fencing on top. One after another, Mark then started taking out panzers one after another. After Shang Wen absorbed 50 of them into his storage ring, Mark then took out 3 large crates from his inventory and placed them on the ground. These weren't different from the usual sturdy metal boxes that Mark handed to the customers. The wooden crates were bought from a furniture store, as the system-made boxes were usually small. Last time, he had to give more than 100 of them for those 5,009 and 2,000.5 in ammunition. While the system gives him free for packaging the weapons, it would cost him 50 silver coins to pack bullets in them. So he decided to order 3 crates. One of them has 5,000 rounds 9, the second one has 2,000 rounds RIP, and the final crate has 3,000 rounds 7.62. The second prince cannot count the bullets as he did with the AK-47s and panzers, as they were too many in number. Instead, he decided to trust Mark's work ethics and kept them in his storage ring. And from finishing this order, Mark earned about 24,000 gold coins as his share, 60% of 40,000 gold coins, and then firmly shook hands with the second prince. "It's always pleasant to do business with you." Shang Wen smiled in return and then took out a scroll from his storage ring. "Actually, my visit has another purpose. Before you read it, let me tell you that you don't have to accept this proposal from the Imperial Palace. Even if you reject it, we will completely understand." "What is it?" Mark turned curious as he took the scroll and opened it right away. Upon reading the letter, he asked curiously, "What is this seed of fire?" "Eh, you never heard of it?" Shang Wen didn't expect that someone as powerful as Mark have no knowledge about the fire seed. Nevertheless, he took a deep breath and calmly explained. "Legend tells that at the beginning of time, the universe was whole and everything is located in one plane of existence. The worlds are very rich in spiritual energy, and it used to be quite easy for the mortals, beasts, and intelligent races to become demigods and immortals. As bunches of saints, 12 circle, and junior gods, 13 circle, emerged, the authority of the original gods who were born from the cosmos was challenged. So what will they do? The mortals have a high rate of reproduction. The elder gods might be invincible, but they care more about the universe. So, the original gods, celestials, who were born of either cosmos or from the elder gods, decided to bring apocalypses to several worlds for population control. But violence only gives birth to violence. The rebels rose. They started killing weak celestials and their descendants. So in the end, to bring peace to everything, the elder gods, 15 circle realm, decided to make planes of existence. And in the process of creating them, they offended a sleeping devil that possesses anti-divine energy. The battle was so intense that it almost brought the entire universe to the brink of destruction. The devil was dead, but the gods couldn't escape unscathed either. It is said that every once in a while, they bleed one drop of blood even to date. When that single drop of blood falls onto a piece of land, the world will try to nourish it using various methods. When that happens, unnatural phenomena around the impact zone would be seen for the next 10 years of time. Once time passed, it will give birth to an elemental seed. However, the earth goddess is a greedy one. She only nourishes the divine blood so that she could eat up the elemental seed. Most of the time, the elemental seeds will just return to earth. But the cultivators had discovered that the seed will be absorbed by the earth only after it becomes mature. And this gives a gap of roughly 37 minutes for cultivators to snatch it for themselves. According to public knowledge, an elemental seed will be able to nourish one's ether energy, giving the corresponding elemental attribute to the user, or nourish it further if the user already possessed the elemental attribute. In rare cases, those seeds can even awaken the hidden bloodline present within the body of a user. Coming to the seed of fire, while it is extremely useful to the imperial family, it is also a fact that we don't possess the capability of snatching it with several legendary realm experts from around the world eyeing for the treasure. As stated in the letter, we need your assistance. Whatever the reward you want, we can negotiate. Mark stared at him in silence for a while. He wasn't pondering on the matter but was waiting for the quest notification. However, even after a minute of waiting, the system didn't issue any emergency notification. As he could just buy the attributes with credits, Mark wasn't that interested in this fire seed. The fact that there's no reward from the system for this task only decreased his motivation. But then again, the prince is a VIP customer. Mark cannot reject him in the face just like he does with others. So, he acted like he was analyzing the risks and merits. The second prince observed him in silence for a couple of minutes. Seeing that Mark wasn't responding, he spoke. "Lu Zhen, yesterday, I gave you a 1 million gold coins worth order for my firearms division. However, if you accomplish this task, Emperor Shang is ready to give you a promissory note, stating that the imperial army will buy at least 100 million gold coins worth of goods from your store within the next 5 years of time." 100 million. Chapter 265, Making a Visit to the Black Citadel. 100 million gold coins over the next 5 years. It means that on average, The Genesis store would earn more than 50,000 gold coins every day just from the Imperial Palace alone. For a moment, it felt as if an electrifying spark passed through his veins. While Mark put aside the plans of dethroning his biological father and changed his strategy to make the Imperial Palace heavily dependent on firearms, he never ruled out the possibility of creating a civil war. And if he committed to 5 years of peace, who knows, he might even stop hating his biological parents. Hatred is the one that is fueling Mark to progress. He doesn't want to do that. Not to mention, he might create nuclear missiles within that time. Hence, Mark opted to seek a different solution. After thinking for a bit, he said to the second prince, 100 million does sound tempting, but 5 years is too long, your highness. If I were to do this, then I wish to have weekly guarantees. What do you mean? Asked the second prince, to which Mark raised 5 fingers, 500,000 gold coins worth orders guaranteed per week. The second prince furrowed his brows for a second and he fell into thoughts. Certainly, the overall amount will be more than 100 million, but it isn't an issue. The problem is paying such a huge amount every week. The Imperial Palace cannot use its treasury just on buying weapons and creating a strong military. There are a lot of things that it needs to be spent on. The taxation system only allows the palace to collect various fixed taxes from the citizen every 3 months: land tax, house tax, water tax, municipal tax, business tax, and revenue tax. Of course, as the Cerberus Slayer, Mark was exempted like the high-ranking civilian and military officials of the state, but that isn't a focal point here. The second prince might have been a military officer, but he knows how his father runs the empire. So, instead of readily agreeing to Mark's demands, he negotiated. A week would be too short for the palace to arrange funds for you. We should also consider the fact that our military is untrained in your firearms, and it will take a while to master those weapons. Not to mention, it will take time for you to procure all the goods, right? How about 5 million gold coins per 3 months? This won't be including the ammunition at all. Mark felt like agreeing to it as it is a good deal, but he wants to see the bottom line of this muscular fellow. 3 months is still too long. You can see how the situation is changing every week in the empire. 1 million gold coins per 2 weeks. You keep pushing me to a corner. The second prince complained in a casual tone and then took a deep breath. 2 million gold coins worth order every month, but this should include the ammunition. This is the best I can offer. Okay, deal. Mark readily agreed as soon as Shang Wen finished his words. Somehow I felt like I lost, thought the second prince when he saw a smile on Mark. Upon sighing inwardly, he then said to this weapon seller, on behalf of the Imperial Palace, I will order everything during the first week of every month. The delivery should have to be done by the time I visit with the list of the next order. By the way, my father also ordered me to invite you and your family, including Song Yue, to the Imperial Palace for tonight's dinner. We can also draw up an official contract in the evening and seal this deal. What do you think? Mark wasn't interested in having dinner with the Imperial family, but he knew that Song Yue will like it. Since there's also something he had to gain from this meeting, he gave a nod. We will surely visit. Soon, the prince returned to the Imperial Palace to discuss the terms with the emperor. Mark, on the other hand, continued his business as usual. However, it was only until sunset did the store kept open. At around 8 o'clock in the evening, 2 vehicles Iveco LMV entered through the palace gates and stopped at the foot of the stairs to the main entrance. From one vehicle, Mark, Song Yue, and the golden-furred cat got down, and from the other vehicle, Alan, Elena, and the manticore stepped down. As always, the presence of the 8-circle beast king intimated everyone except for Bai Zun, who was instructed to receive them personally. Of course, he wasn't alone. The northern general Yi Yin was also standing beside him. Usually, supreme realm experts, the kings, and emperors would have such privilege of getting received by a supreme commander of the Phoenix Empire. But it looks like Emperor Shang is hell-bent on making Mark an ally. The 100 million gold coins offer is the best example. Thank you for coming, Mr. Lu. Bai Zun formally greeted them with a smile. Welcome to the Imperial Palace. During the next 90 minutes, the contract was signed on the terms Mark and Shang Wen agreed earlier. The dinner was finished, and somehow, the second prince managed to get recognition from Baltro, the manticore. It even agreed to have a spar with Shang when the latter stated his wish to fight against it. Since it already gave his word without even waiting for Mark's permission, the latter can only agree to it. In the meantime, Emperor Shang once again failed to get into the good books of Tishanan. The golden-furred cat appeared to be enjoying more in the presence of the ladies who are petting it. Once it was over, the second prince escorted Mark and others to the exit. And just before they left, Mark made a certain wish to Shang Wen. The second prince complied and left with them in the vehicle, experiencing the joy of the backseat while the two androids were in the front. As for the Beast King, it was riding in Mark's vehicle in the back while Song Yue sat in the front seat. As for the kitten, it was comfortably sleeping in her arms. After a 70-minute journey from the Imperial Palace, they reached a lake with black-colored water. It is called Hai's Lake, which spans around 6 km. Of course, it has nothing to do with their objective. Instead, they came to visit a place located near this lake. Upon vehicles stopped and everyone got on the ground, Mark saw the entrance and it looked like an underground mine. Song Yue has never been to this place, so she was also surprised by how only 2 guards were standing outside. "Follow me." The second prince took the lead and everyone followed behind them. Once entering the place, Mark found that the place is indeed heavily secured as he heard it would be. All along the way, there are soldiers standing guard on either side. However, they were a bit weak. The weakest soldier is only in the 2-circle realm and the strongest one is in 4-circle. Soon, the warden of the Black Citadel met them. The peak 5-circle guy looked like a tough guy with scars all over his face and his biceps, but started shivering in fear as soon as his eyes fell on the manticore. "Let's go to cell 403, said the second prince. "Your Highness." The warden bowed and started walking forward. They have taken several tunnels on the way, making it harder for the first-timer to remember them, but it isn't difficult for Alan and Elena. Hence, Mark acted as if he was strolling in a garden. One of the best ways to hurt the Imperial Palace is to release the prisoners and use them against the Imperial Army. Or so, Mark thought as he followed the warden. Soon, they reached the cell where a person is sleeping in plain white robes. Because of the wall torches around, Mark and Song Yue could see the person's face. It was Song Yun who was shifted to the prison during the morning hours. He appeared to have aged just within a day. There was also a bowl of rice nearby, and it appeared to be untouched. Mark glanced at his fiancée. She was staring at him, but he couldn't see any expression on her. She appeared to be very calm. The second prince then spoke, "Wake him up." The warden bowed, and then took out a thin and long staff from his storage ring before poking at Song Yun's abdomen. 403, you have visitors." Song Yun slowly opened his eyes. Yes. His vision was blurry for a second, but as he saw the people, his eyes widened. "Zio Yue. I don't think you still possess the right to call me that way, Mr. Song. So please refrain from speaking informally to me," replied Song Yue in a calm tone. A trace of surprise appeared on everyone, except for the androids and the beasts. Song Yun was stunned at first before realization dawned upon him. He let out a deep sigh. "Yeah, you are right." Before anyone else speak, he went on to say, "I don't think I have the right to call myself your father, and neither do I possess any qualification to ask for your forgiveness. I'll pay for the sins I have committed, and I pray that someday, both of you will stop hating me." Both Mark and Shang Wen felt like something changed in Song Yun. However, Song Yue didn't think that way. Looking into his eyes, she replied as calmly as possible, "Such words don't suit someone like you, Mr. Song. You are probably expecting me to forgive you and pardon your sentence, but that will never happen." Chapter 266. Honest Conversation Between Mark and Song Yun. While everyone became speechless for a moment due to the change of behavior from Song Yue, who is known to them as a kind-hearted lady, she continued, "Since my childhood, I heard you talking to Elder Mu or my mom or others, a lot of times, about how you wanted a male heir. I was sad that I couldn't help you. After all, neither I am a son to take over your place nor am I a talented spirit warrior. Hence, I did the only thing I could do. Follow your orders. I didn't hesitate to get engaged to Zhang Kong when you told me on my 19th birthday. People are getting married in their late 20s or early 30s, but I was ready to marry him in my early 20s. I sincerely loved him but only received a broken heart after 3 years. You then tried to sell me to the Jai clan. I was locked up and you hurt my mother too. It's true that I went against your wishes and ran away. I don't like to marry Jai Minjiu, whom I have never even met in my life. I felt guilty about my actions. I regretted that I didn't try hard to convince you before attempting to run away. That's why, when you and the elders came to a decision to kill me, I accepted my fate. If you had disowned me back then, I would have quietly accepted it. Even if you have attempted to take me by force from Lu Zhen before the ceremony, I would have begged for your life and might have forgiven you, thinking that you are acting on your emotions. However, your head was so screwed up that you smuggled those ruthless legendary realm experts of a vile organization, and chose to attack after Lu Zhen officially became my half-husband with everyone's blessings. Do you truly believe that they will quietly leave after killing Lu Zhen? They will certainly start a massacre, leaving behind no evidence. You would have died. I would have died. And even my mother wouldn't be spared either. I would be surprised if that thought never appeared in your mind. No, I'm sure that you are prepared for that too. As long as your enemy gets killed, you will happily die. That kind of a person you truly are. Now, I also lost the heart to forgive you. I don't know how long they will hold you here, but I truly hope that you stay here for at least 60 to 70 years, so that I and my mother wouldn't have to see your face until the day we die. I said everything I have to say. It's time for me to return. Goodbye. Without bothering to listen to Song Yun's reply or anything, she turned around to look at Mark. Let's go home. Mark glanced at Song Yun for a moment and then he looked at her. You go and wait for me in the vehicle. Elena and others will join you. I think I should have a talk with him alone. After saying it, he turned to the second prince. Do you mind giving us privacy for a while? The second prince nodded. Soon, everyone but Alan and Mark left the place. Song Yun blankly stared at him. After listening to his daughter, he felt like thousands of needles stabbing his heart. If his own daughter spoke to him like that, then how would this enemy speak? Whatever the case, he thought that he had to face it. But before that, he thought he needed to clear something with Mark. Continuing to sit on the ground, Song Yun spoke softly. I know that I don't deserve to even apologize to my daughter, but I want to know where I went wrong in your case. Let's put aside our enmity for a moment and talk as a man to man. Please spare me a couple of minutes. At first, Mark felt like this guy was repenting his actions, but now it appeared like Song Yun still thinks that he is right. Whatever it is, this might be the last time they will see each other. So, Mark felt like he should at least listen to him, talk. Song Yun then said, You, a commoner from some poor neighborhood of Hanga district, challenged my authority. Is it wrong of me to get angry? You destroyed my home and sent me to a state of deep unconsciousness coma. Is it wrong of me to challenge you for a battle, back during the public trial? You hid my daughter at your place, indirectly causing the marriage alliance with Jai clan to collapse. Is it wrong of me to develop a deep hatred for you? You saved her and then brought her to your home, followed by announcing your engagement. Is it wrong of me to think that you are using her to get back at me? If these things happened to you, would you truly not think of revenge? Usually, he would have to shout these things with a frustrated look on his face, but Song Yun, at the moment, didn't appear that way. Instead, he looked as if he was seeking an answer. That's why his tone is soft. Mark didn't expect such questions, but he doesn't have to think to answer them. He replied calmly as he raised his hand. I'm no saint, Song Yun. I have a lot of sins in my head. This hand of mine is indirectly responsible for the death of millions of innocent lives. You are not the first one who had a grudge against me, and certainly, you won't be the last. Your hatred toward me is completely justified. Emotions are something that will happen naturally. You can't do anything about it. But your actions are in your control, right? You are the head of a clan. You are a minister of the state. You are the husband of someone and a father of someone. When you have so much to lose, you should be also aware of the consequences of your actions. Tell me something. Was this the first time you have ever felt frustrated in your life? You must have been frustrated with certain decisions of the emperor, or your grandfather, or the elders of your clan, right? Did you ever pick up a fight with them as you did with me? No, right? Why? It's because you clearly know that they can make your life hell. On the other hand, I don't possess any authority or influence. As you quoted in your first sentence, you are just frustrated with the fact that a lowly commoner dared to challenge your authority. So, what if he has weapons? So, what if he is Cerberus Slayer? You just need to bring a stronger guy and then later paint the commoner as someone evil to society. Isn't this truly the case? Actually, the problem is with the system, right from the beginning. Because people like you inherited the position of minister and the clan head from your father, you would never truly understand the importance of your position. But seriously, I don't understand you, nobles. It's not like you have some 3 eyes or wings. Why do you guys think that you are too privileged? I could understand the prejudice against poor people or civilians, but I don't understand why you look down on people who weren't of noble families. A couple of millennia ago, your ancestors are also farmers and laborers. The blood of a commoner runs through your veins too. In the future, if the empire collapses, your descendants might also turn into commoners too. Had you not looked at me through the lens of a noble, you would have been able to put aside your hatred and maintain a peaceful relationship with me, instead of thinking that I'm afraid of going all out against your clan. I don't want to brag, but if I have the power to kill a Peak 8 Circle expert of the Church of Doom, then isn't it certain that I have the ability to eradicate any major clan as I wish? If you had thought that way and truly had accepted me as your son-in-law, then your clan would have a formidable ally by now. You would be able to dictate terms to any major noble clan or even negotiate with the emperor. Hence, you might not be wrong to develop a grudge, but you just chose to walk in the path of hell when there is a choice of going to heaven. For some reason, I want to believe that this incident changed you a little bit. That's why I'm bothering myself to explain all of this. If you understood it, then all is fine. If not, then only God can help you. Now, if there's anything else you want to say, please do. Mark actually stayed there to mock Song Yun about how he focused on an enemy staying far away while ignoring the problems that are right beside him. After all, the elders of the Song clan did most of the damage. Little did he expect to stand there and give life lessons to Song Yun. On the other hand, Song Yun fell into deep thoughts, taking Mark's words seriously. As he pondered on the matter, realization dawned upon him. Letting out a deep sigh, he nodded in agreement. You are right. I have several opportunities to end the enmity but didn't do it. Perhaps my hatred toward you developed because of envy. You are a commoner born in some village, and you are only 25. Yet you have those weapons that defy the existence of spirit warriors. You awakened a rare spirit path of a summoner. You acquired strength enough to kill a beast king like Cerberus. If I think about it, I'm probably driven that I wasn't blessed with such things. I guess I have no right to blame the elders for my situation after all. As Elder Mew and you said, I'm only facing the consequences of my actions. Ding! Chapter 267. Song Yun escapes the prison. Ding, you received an emergency quest, save Song Yun. Quest, Song Yun is truly repenting actions and deserves a second chance to redeem himself. Get him out of the prison using whatever method. Reward 1,000 credits. Except only 1,000. Mark was certainly disappointed by the reward. Usually, the system offers him hefty rewards while issuing an emergency quest, well, based on its importance. The fact that the reward is low indicates that he doesn't need to help him. However, even the system believes that Song Yun is changed, and it is something that he can't ignore. For the sake of Song Yue, he decided to take a leap of faith. But then again, he wasn't the type to risk his goal for the sake of an enemy like this middle-aged fellow. In fact, the latter should be happy with the fact that Mark didn't kill him on the spot. After thinking briefly about how to use the situation to his advantage, Mark then spoke. Song Yun, one final chance. Song Yun, who hung down his head in regret, raised his head and looked at Mark in confusion. What do you mean? I will give you an opportunity to make it up to your daughter, answered Mark in a calm tone. But in exchange, I need something from you too. It's not a big thing. You just need to guard my fiancée, your daughter, in my absence. Protecting Song Yue, will you ask the emperor to release me? Song Yun's face, which was drained of energy, suddenly filled with hope, and he rose to his feet. Whether he regrets it or not, whether he wants to make it up to his daughter, all of it is secondary. Being able to escape from this underground cell takes priority. However, Mark wouldn't want to owe a favor to the emperor over a person like Song Yun. He shook his head in response. No, I don't want to go against Song Yue's wishes. She's also a victim, and those 17 years of punishment are something only she has the right to pardon. Unless I convince her first, I can't do anything on your release. Then, Song Yun looked at him curiously. Mark didn't speak anything but take out ink, brush, paper, and a table from his inventory. He then started writing something on it. After he was done, Mark raised the paper. I will remove that seal on yours and let you regain your cultivation, right now. You can escape on your own at midnight. It won't be hard for you to do that. You are already a traitor of the Empire and still will be branded as a traitor. However, I will give you shelter in my house and shield you from the Imperial Palace, provided that you will never expose your face to anyone else but me and my 2 siblings. And when I realize that you are trying to break the deal, I will kill without any hesitation. I'm going to keep an invisible tracker seal inside you that can't be removed by even a 9-circle expert. Hence, you won't be able to escape even if you run to the ends of the earth. Give a nod if you accept this arrangement, or else just sit down. Perhaps I would bring her to visit you once in a while. This is the most I can do. Song Yun wasn't a fool. He understood why Mark was writing it on paper instead of directly speaking of it. After all, people say that even walls have ears. Who knows whether someone is spying on them from the other side of the wall? He nodded his head vigorously. Mark then put away the things and raised his hand. Closing his eyes, he activated the skill. Seal Breaker. Mystic symbols appeared around his palm before they were launched at Song Yun. Before Song Yun even made a movement, they already struck him and entered his body. Soon, the seal placed on his body was shattered like glass, and Song Yun felt the surge of his strength. He wanted to break through right away but exercised control and completely suppressed his strength before kowtowing once again. Thank you. Now that I'm done here, I'm leaving. Take care. Keeping up appearances that he didn't do anything other than scolding, Mark left the place alongside Alan, leaving behind a man who continued to kowtow in gratefulness until the former was out of sight. Wiping off his tears, Song Yun mumbled, Zhao Yue is safe with Lu Zhen, but I wonder how Cheng Zhao is doing now. Once everyone knew that I escaped from the prison, they might harm her. I have to shift her to some safe place. Soon, he lay down on the floor and closed his eyes, acting as if he went asleep. A few hours later, at around 3:00, Emperor's Chamber, Imperial Palace. Just like every other citizen in the Imperial City, Emperor Shang was in a deep sleep. Lan Jingyi was sleeping next to him. Seeing that both of them are naked with their clothes on the floor, it must have been an intimate night. Knock, knock, knock. The knocks on the door woke them up. They appeared to be rather loud. Can't they just wait until the morning? Lan Jingyi complained as got down from the bed before dressing up. The emperor also did the same and then unlocked the door with a look of annoyance on his face. Upon opening the door, Emperor Shang saw the northern general, Yi Yin, who appeared to be panicking instead of being worried. In an instant, Shang Fu understood that the emergency was rather serious than he expected it to be. Yi Yin then reported, Your Majesty, Song Yun escaped from the prison. Almost every guard was knocked out cold. What? Emperor couldn't hold his voice and reacted rather loud. How did it happen? Yi Yin shook his head. We aren't sure. Either he must have somehow broken the seal or someone from the outside must have helped him. Church of Doom. It was the first thing that came to Shang Fu's mind as he heard that there was a strong possibility of an involvement of an outsider. Call Bai Zun right now, and wake up Shang Wen. Shang Fu hastened the pace of his walking while going toward the throne's room, leaving behind a displeased Lan Jingyi. That man dared to escape. Lan Jingyi was already furious with Song Yun, who attempted to kill her son. Now that he has escaped with help, an assumption popped into her head. Furrowing her brows, she thought, I sincerely hope that he won't do a foolish thing like trying to harm Shang Zhen again. If that happens, I won't even care whether he is Xiao Yue's father or Sister Cheng's husband. I will reduce him to ashes. No, he isn't the real problem here. Shang Zhen can take care of him at any time. Church of Doom will pose a threat. As long as that old thing is alive, I cannot expose myself by going near that tower. Even if that woman is injured, as long as she is in her domain, she is very powerful. But then again, according to Guya, they were ordered not to pursue this matter until they claim the Seed of Fire. So it might not be a guy from church who broke Song Yun out of the prison. If it were to them, they would kill the guards instead of knocking them out. Even if I were in Song Yun's shoes, I would kill them too. Hence, it must be the work of either hidden organization or a sect. As much as she has several theories, the matter is something that doesn't need to worry about. She returned to the inner quarters and resumed her sleep in her room. The next day morning. Genesis Weapon Store, Hanga District. How did that happen? Song Yue didn't bother to hide her displeasure as she heard from Lin Zhu about her father's escape. Lin Zhu shrugged her shoulders. Who knows, but you have to be careful. As both of them are in the store, the other three also heard of it. While the androids looked like they didn't care, Mark lied straight to her face. Last night, when I talked to him alone, he said that the Church of Doom will surely rescue him. I thought he was ridiculous as they lost precious elders because of him. But it looks like he was right. Lin Zhu let out a gasp in surprise and she warned them once again, this time in a serious tone. Then, all of you should really be careful from now onwards, especially you, Alan. Chapter 268, The Black Knight. 10 days passed away, but Song Yun was nowhere to be seen. The emperor sent thousands of soldiers to search all over the imperial city. The 6 clan leaders, who are governing the provinces, were also notified of the matter. Mark was also notified of the matter and was offered security for Song Yue and his siblings, but he refused it. As the emperor took this matter seriously, he called out for an all-out investigation as a 7-circle realm expert in on the loose. The crown prince and his allies wholeheartedly opposed it, fearing that Song Yun might try to take revenge on them. The investigators interrogated Song Yun's relatives, questioned Mark and Song Yue, Cheng Xiao, elders of Song clan, and everyone that Song Yun, but the investigation yielded no results. Even the super-powerful spy organization, Webb, couldn't trace his whereabouts. In the end, the imperial palace was left with no choice but to officially announce a 50,000 gold coins bounty on Song Yun, dead or alive. Meanwhile, Mark was also left with bitter feelings, as Song Yun didn't come to the store as per the deal. Mark seriously warned him that he wouldn't spare his life if the latter were to break the terms of the deal. But in reality, he didn't implant any tracker seal inside Song Yun, and neither did the system give him a quest to apprehend him or something. So, where should he go and look for him? Considering how Song Yun had a hefty bounty on his head, Mark decided to give him an opportunity if they ever meet. If he won't become satisfied with the explanation given by Song Yun, without any hesitation, he would kill the former leader of the Song clan and attain the reward amount. But for the current time, Mark can only continue to run the store as if the incident has nothing to do with him. As for Song Yue, at first she was displeased, but then, as a couple of days passed, she eventually put away the matter from her thoughts. It was around noon. Everyone is having lunch together while a couple of butler robots are serving the dishes. And just like the past few Fridays, the timer on the lottery wheel was roughly around 12 minutes. Everyone is comfortably enjoying the delicacy made by Elena, but Mark was getting restless as he kept on glancing at the wall clock every once in a while. Seeing that there was so much left in the bowl, Song Yue asked him, "Dear, is the food not to your liking today?" Usually, she calls him by name, but in the presence of Chang Bo and Shang Jiao, she had to address him that way. Mark looked at her and shook his head. "No, I just—" Before he finished his reply, Elena interrupted him with a look of displeasure on her face, as if she was offended by Song Yue's remark. "There's no way Big Brother would hate my food, Lady Song." Song Yue was living here for a while and was accustomed to Alan and Elena's behavior. So far, what she had witnessed is that Elena was too devoted to Mark and completely understands what he is thinking. However, as she is a high-quality puppet with her own emotions, Elena tends to be happy or sad based on the situation, just like humans. Alan was cool. He would never get angry. He was always calm and understanding. On the other hand, Elena was a perfectionist. Whatever job she was given, from cleaning the floor to training the butler robots, she does it without any mistake. And except for Mark, if anyone pointed out a mistake in her work, she would get triggered even if it is Alan. Not intending to upset this puppet that completely resembles and behaves like a real human being, Song Yue apologized right away. "Sorry, I chose the wrong words. The food was incredibly delicious. It's just that Lu Zhen barely touched the food." Big Brother had a lot on his mind," replied the android, without disclosing the secrets of her master. Mark then vaguely explained, "I'm leaving tomorrow morning for some urgent business. I was thinking about it." Song Yue was curious about it, but she didn't ask him because of the nature of the relationship between them. She silently ate the food. Once the lunch was over, and she returned to her room for a 10-minute nap, while Shang Jiao returned downstairs, Mark started absorbing the luck points from the whelpier, Chang Bo. Upon absorbing 3 points to reach a temporary 10 points of luck, he returned to his room and locked the door. Taking a deep breath, he opened the lottery wheel. There were 20 blank spots and a green-colored potion. Last week, he got the useless reconnaissance satellite, which cannot be launched into space without the space rocket. Hence, he had to wait 1 whole week to earn the most precious reward. Comfortably lying on the bed, he clicked on the spin button. With 10 points of luck, there's no worry on his face. Eventually, the arrow stopped on the target. "Ding! Congratulations on acquiring the peak potion as a reward from the lottery wheel." The item was sent to the inventory. The lottery wheel refreshed, displaying the 3rd batch of items. Mark couldn't help but whistle as he saw the items. Now, this is an upgrade good. The 7 items are: Random Unique Weapon, Random Bloodline, Rank 1 Android, Weapons Research Specialist, Upgrade Crystal, Superior Grade, Ungraded Main Battle Tank, Merkava Mark IV, Peak Potion, Mysterious Box. Mark liked the new items on the lottery wheel. In fact, he was a little bit worried that the system would modify it since he was taking advantage of 10 luck points to have a sure reward. But thankfully, the lottery wheel was the same, making him let out a sigh of relief. Anyway, once he was done with the lottery, Mark closed it and opened the statue of Velkazar. The last time, 2 weeks ago, he received an upgrade of the dismantling technique, making it overpowered. Hence, he was now filled with expectations. Unfortunately, even with maximum luck points, not everything went as he expected. Or at least, that's what he thought when he looked at the notification. "Ding, you received the blessings of the divine dragon Velkazar. Your agility stat is temporarily increased by 1 point." What a useless reward. Mark closed it and then opened the inventory to look at the peak potion. It was the same as last time. However, he was currently a 5 Circle Realm summoner. Hence, he could use it to the maximum potential. Now, the only question that arises is whether the Amulet of Magic would increase his intelligence stat even after the consumption of this potion. Once again, he was met with disappointment. Ding! Amulet of Magic is a gold-grade item, which loses its effect once your intelligence stat reaches 8. I guess I have to depend on my lightning clone, after all. Having nothing else to do, Mark resumed the absorption of ether energy from the ether crystals. But there's a small change in his method. Instead of absorbing each one and waiting for the system to refine that ether energy into his, he directly absorbed the crystals one after another without bothering to refine them. During the past 10 days, he discovered that his body could endlessly store the ether energy without worrying about the bottleneck, and let the system refine it in the background, thereby automatically increasing his ether points. For the past few days, every night before sleep, Mark would absorb a bunch of ether crystals and then goes to bed. By the morning, they would be refined, and he repeats the process again and again. As for why Mark couldn't just absorb all of those dozens of high-quality crystals at once, he just wouldn't want to check the progress every now and then during the day. It's just for his mental peace. No important reason behind it. After absorbing the last batch of ether crystals and ores left in his inventory, Mark kept those white crystals back in the inventory instead of throwing them away, and closed his eyes to take a short nap. But not even 2 minutes passed away, and he received a message notification. Ding, a message from Alan. A customer wishes to meet Big Bro. Who might it be now? Mark wondered as he got down from the bed and went downstairs. He appeared to be a little bit annoyed. There were still 15 minutes left in the lunch break, and those who knew him well were aware that Mark would rather have a meeting during work hours than during break time. Not to mention, it's not a secret that weapon stores like Genesis would usually be empty during the afternoon, and it would be the perfect time to meet. Hence, Mark expected a stranger, and it does appear like one at one glance. It was a person of average build and height, covered in shining black armor of platinum grade. The stranger was also wearing a knight helmet, which is covering his face entirely. Upon seeing Mark, the stranger raised his hand. A lump of ether energy escaped from his fingertips before transforming into letters, and then into sentences. Hello, Lu Zhen. I apologize for taking a long time. The letters stayed for a moment before disappearing into thin air. Upon reading the message, Mark recognized the identity of the stranger. But still, for verification, he activated Sage Eyes and inspected the details. It's a certain 7-circle realm expert, all right. Mark nodded with a smile. I was waiting for your arrival, mister. I trust that you will protect my fiancée with your life. As Song Yun in disguise nodded in response, Mark then asked, by the way, what do you wish to be called? As a look of curiosity appeared on Shang Jiao's face, the stranger wrote the words in the air, once again, the Black Knight. Chapter 269.1 Mark Meets Zheng Part 1. Sometime later. Song Yue, this is Black Knight, a peak stage 6-circle realm expert from the Western Moon Kingdom. I have hired him for your protection in my absence. Mark introduced the disguised Song Yun to Song Yue as a guard, surprising her a little bit. Song Yue was taken aback, not expecting that Mark would hire such a strong expert. She doesn't know how strong this man in a knight's armor is, but as the former heiress of Song clan, she does know that his security services won't be cheap. She asked how much it will cost for his security. Mark actually didn't prepare for that question. He thought Song Yue will ask him whether there is a need for an outsider when there was Alan and Elena. As he was thinking of a price, along the lines of somewhere between 300–400 gold coins per month, Song Yun raised his hand and gave the reply through writing. It didn't take long for the words to appear in midair. I owe Lu Zhen my life. As repayment for the favor, I will be protecting you for the next 6 months, Lady Song. As he cannot say that he will serve for the rest of his life as some sort of slave, he gave a certain time limit. He thought that time would be enough for him to gain forgiveness from his daughter. If it wouldn't suffice, he will try to extend the time limit by using some sort of excuse. Luckily, Song Yue bought his reasoning and nodded with a smile, thank you. She was happy because of 2 things. 1, it didn't cost money. 2, her fiancé saved someone's life. But what do those things have to do with her? Song Yue never dwelled on the matter, as if it is obvious. Meanwhile, Mark inwardly sighed in relief, feeling that he dodged a bullet. Originally, he wanted to introduce Song Yun as a seven circle, but didn't do it so as to not attract unnecessary suspicion. So, he portrayed the guy as a foreigner he hired for Song Yue's protection, citing her father's escape from the prison as a reason. The imperial palace was also aware that Mark visited the Western Moon Kingdom and brought a change of regime. Hence, it would be a perfect ideal cover for Song Yun, according to Mark's opinion. But the biggest issue lies within the family, not the outsiders. Song Yue's opinion is the most important here. As she didn't suspect anything and agreed with the protection, Mark was satisfied. The next day morning. Okay, I will be back by evening, see ya. Leaving behind the manticore and Alan at the store for Song Yue's safety, just in case Song Yun tries to switch to his old ways, Mark boarded the attack helicopter, which was piloted by Elena. As he rejected the instant teleportation function to complete the emergency quest when he accepted it, Mark received a map, which lets him track his target until he fails the quest. After a few hours of travel, while refilling the fuel, on the midway for once with Mark's ether energy, they reached the Kunyu mountain range. Soon it started descending onto one of the peaks, which was a huge flat ground as if the mountain's top part was sliced away. The place wasn't that big, but it wasn't small too. It was roughly around 1 km, 250 acres, filled with ruined buildings, but still, the place was quite neat without any dust or unnecessary rocks and stones around. At the corner of this abandoned village, there was a graveyard filled with burial mounds. A gray-haired man in tattered white robes appeared to be sweeping the place at a slow pace, as if he has all the time in the world. The sound of the helicopter didn't escape his ears. He immediately raised his head to look at it and frowned. What is that thing? Putting away the broom, he started walking toward the location of the ruined buildings where the helicopter was going to land. Upon reaching there, he saw two people stepping out of it, and the helicopter disappeared into thin air. The man, who appeared to be in his early 50s, opened his mouth. Stop right there. Leave this place, strangers. Mark was naturally surprised by the appearance of a human in such a location, as he wasn't expecting any hosts to receive him. Was he a member of the Church of Doom? He wondered. According to Guya, the organization is planning to occupy the beast for 3 decades, but to no avail. To confirm his suspicions, he activated the sage eyes and inspected him, and the details really surprised him. Lanju. Status humanoid. Grade imp. Species Zheng. Gender male. Rank 9 peak stage. Type offensive. Attribute fire, water, wind, earth, and lightning. Description: Zheng is a beast from the Undying Lands. A pet of Lan Jingsen, it is very loyal to its master even after his death, acting as the grave keeper of the land sex graveyard. So this beast can take the shape of a human. Mark heard the legends of the pure dragons that can transform into a human, but didn't expect this one can also do it. What's more shocking is its cultivation. If the beast's cultivation level is at peak 9 circle in its humanoid form, it will be even higher in its true form. And then what's about its strength? It is safe to assume that a demigod beast emperor can easily defeat an average immortal realm human, 11 circle. All of a sudden, Mark felt like the peak potion might not be enough to subdue it by force. And if he manages to defeat by some miracle, there's still a problem left. How will he be able to form a contract with a demigod-level beast using an advanced spirit beast contract? Hence, he came to the conclusion that he needed to fight for its acknowledgement, rather than trying to capture it. Fortunately, he received a manuscript of Beast Tamer Zai Chen as an engagement gift from his sister. During the past 10 days, it helped him to understand more about the beasts and their behavior. As a result, the loyalty of the manticore was raised substantially enough for it to give him a word that it will guard Song Yue with its life. Not knowing whether he can defeat by force or not, Mark first closed his eyes, controlling his stunned expression, and then took a deep breath and greeted the Zheng with a sincere bow. Greetings, Lanju. My name is Lu Zhen and I came from the Imperial City. The middle-aged fellow was a little bit surprised by how Mark greeted him. After all, not many people who are still alive knew his name. If someone knew his name, that means they also knew that he is a beast, not a human. The Church of Doom came to his mind at first. Suspecting that the visitor might be lying about his origins, Lan Ju warned him again, this time a bit aggressively. Whoever you are, the outsiders have no business with this land or me. Leave before you regret it. Mark was the kind of person that gets offended even by the slightest threat, but knowing that he cannot attack the beast, he tried to reply as calmly as possible. I'm here because of 3 things. First, I want to pay my respects to my grandfather. 2, I want to claim his inheritance which he left for me. And 3, reviving the land sect. Grandfather, reviving the sect. Lan Ju furrowed his brows upon hearing that Mark is related to someone from the land sect. He asked, "Who is your grandfather?" Mark answered, Lan Jengsen. He is my maternal grandfather if what granduncle Lan Jiang said is true. He purposely mentioned Lan Jiang's name so that the beast would at least consider giving him an opportunity to earn its acknowledgement. However, little did he expect that he would actually touch its sore spot for speaking out Lan Jiang's name. How dare you to spout that traitorous bastard's name? Lan Ju suddenly roared in response. His voice released some sort of sound waves, striking Mark and Elena at the same time, pushing them away. The power behind the sound waves was so powerful that Mark felt like he would fall from the cliff. Thankfully, Elena was quick to act in releasing the Proto's chains and catch him before leaping to the side and landing on the ground. As Mark was freed from the chains, Elena stood before him while conjuring her Proto's daggers. What is that corrupted energy? Lan Ju became wary all of a sudden, stopping in his tracks and staring intently at Elena and the black energy daggers in her hands. A peak quality puppet. There's no way humans of this remote world can progress this far. Chapter 270.2 Mark Meets Zheng Part 2. Whether it is a beast or a human, one would always fear the unknown and wouldn't foolishly tackle it. There's a reason why Mark arrogantly attacks the opponents that offend him. Why? It is because he knew that he would win for sure. And at the same time, since he couldn't inspect the details of his biological mother, he proceeded cautiously with a different approach even after capturing a beast king of the 8-circle realm. Of course, that can be changed once he captures this demigod realm beast, but the possibility appeared to be a little bleak at the moment. Similarly, Lan Ju could neither sense the strength of the visitors nor could he recognize the exact nature of the Proto's energy present in the daggers held by Elena. Hence, it shouldn't be a surprise if he turned a bit wary of them. Meanwhile, Mark, upon getting the taste of an absurdly powerful sound wave attack, decided not to underestimate its short temper. He also realized that there's some history between Lan Jiang and the Zheng beast. Continuing to stand behind Elena to protect himself, Mark then spoke loudly. I don't know what happened, but it's true that I'm the rightful heir of Lan Jengsen as I have inherited his bloodline. Whether you like it or not, I'll make sure that the land sect will rise from the ashes. If you want to help me, then I'll happily welcome it. If you don't want to, then please don't stand in my way. My grandfather once took you into his family and gave you his surname. So, I think you can do at least that much for him, considering you are guarding his grave for so many decades. Lan Ju furrowed his brows as he patiently listened to Mark. In fact, he became a lot calmer because of his soft spot for his master. As the latter was done with his request, he said, Just now, you mentioned that you inherited his bloodline. Show me the proof. Mark was elated to hear that the Zheng had cooled down and is willing to talk. Seeing a hope to complete his quest, he felt that he did a good thing by trying to be civil, instead of just directly going to the fight. Taking a deep breath, Mark then raised his hand toward the Zheng that had its guard up. Absolute freezing. EP. As he unleashed his bloodline technique, the surroundings started to freeze at a terrifying pace. In just a second, all of his 200-meter surroundings were frozen in ice except for Elena. Surprisingly, Lan Ju managed to dodge the attack and quietly landed on the ice floor. He had his heartbeat skip for a moment as his senses picked up the aura. I can feel the aura of Blizzard Pegasus in the ice, and it is also very pure just like the Master. He is a descendant of the Lan clan, all right. But if I only consider the range and the temperature of this ice, then he must be in the sixth circle realm. But his face is the most suspicious. Ahem. Clearing his throat, Lan Ju then said, I admit that you have the bloodline, but it doesn't prove that you are a descendant of my master. I only answer to Lan Jiangxin, neither the Lan clan nor the ancient Lan sect. And not to mention, you are too weak to revive the Lan sect if I believe this attack is your strongest bloodline attack. So, I have no reason to let you do what you want. However, I will allow you to pay respects to your grandfather because of your bloodline. Mark didn't take this into consideration when he journeyed to the Kunyu mountain range. Whether it is Lan Jiang, Bai Zun, Emperor Shang, Lan Jingyi, or King Shen Nu, everyone told Mark that he strikingly resembled Lan Jiangxin. Then how come this beast is failing to recognize him? Why does this Zhang still doubt his words? Perhaps the other party wanted strong evidence to support his claim. Then that would only leave a DNA matching. It might appear silly, but he can only inquire about the matter despite never reading such a thing in Zai Chen's manuscript. System, do the spirit beasts have any ability to recognize DNA? He expected either the correct answer or a reply, something along the lines of figure out yourself. But, to his surprise, the system sent a different style of reply. Ding, is everything okay with the host's head? The system was already sassy in nature. As it leveled up, it became less sassy. Lately, Mark thought that the system turned a bit nice except for profanities that are aimed at it. But its latest reply made Mark change his opinion. Closing down the notification, he mumbled, Great, now it turned sarcastic too. Anyway, I'm now on my own, so what should I do? If I had that Shen Long bracelet with me, I would have made up a story of how I received it as an inheritance. Do I have no choice but to battle? If only the beast can analyze my blood just like the system did with Chang Bo. Wait a second. An idea popped up in his mind. While Lanju is almost losing his patience because of Mark's silence, the latter opened his mouth with a smile. You have lived with my grandfather for more than 2 decades. As someone loyal to Lan Jiangxin even after his death, you shouldn't have forgotten his scent or the taste of his blood, correct? As Lan Jiangxin didn't use the Spirit Beast contract, and neither has any system supporting him, he would have used his blood to form a contract with the beast. Mark believed that a beast emperor like the Zheng would be able to remember it. Confirming Mark's assumption, Lan Ju admitted it, although being momentarily confused about what the guy is implying. Yes, so. Mark raised his hand once again, but this time he didn't attack. Instead, he said, You can have my blood to check whether I have any relation to Lan Jiangxin or not. Blood? Lanju was visibly surprised by Mark's confident expression. It began to wonder whether this guy is really his master's grandson or not. In the end, he nodded, all right. Mark let out a satisfactory smile, seeing that his plan was successful to an extent. He then ordered the android, Elena, cut my palm and extract blood. Big brother, Elena's eyes widened as she looked at him in shock. Even in her dreams, she can never harm her beloved master. Mark understands the reason behind her hesitation, but he neither has any sharp weapons nor does have high-strength stat to draw blood out of himself. Hence, he has to depend on this busty android to do the job. After much deliberation, Elena finally raised her hand and gently sliced at his right palm before taking out a soup bowl from Mark's inventory and squeezing about 10 ml of blood into the bowl. He tried his best to bear the pain, thinking about the quest reward. After collecting the blood, Elena then tore off a bit of the right sleeve of her robes and tightly wrapped it around the wound, as she lacked the healing skill and Mark lacked any healing ointments in his inventory. Mark didn't care much as he will use the peak potion. Once he enters the Supreme Realm, he could easily heal his wounds with ether energy. All exalts, 7th circle, and above realm experts have that ability. So, the wound is no big deal for him. But he didn't stop Elena either, as it felt good to receive care from a beautiful woman, even if that woman is an android. Anyway, soon, the android left her master's side and walked forward, eventually handing it to Lan Ju. Over the course of several decades, he had eaten several animals and adventurers, so he wasn't unfamiliar with tasting the blood of a human. The only problem is whether he will be able to control his urge to eat Mark after drinking the blood. But then again, if Mark's blood tastes really different from Lan Jiangxin, killing him should not be a problem, as it would imply that the visitor was lying about his relation to the late patriarch of the Lan sect. Okay, here we go. Lan Zhen raised the bowl and drank the blood. His eyes lit up instantly, and his first thought was, "Whoa, such purity. It tastes very rich to invoke my hunger." But in the next second he let out a deep sigh upon remembering one of the memories with his master, Jiangxin. In a wasteland, an injured young man was carrying a leopard cub while battling a bunch of assassins. He was bleeding from head to toe, but never once did he put it down or gave it away to those assailants from the Church of Nuwa, who termed a beast emperor as an ill omen to the world. Eventually, all the assassins were killed, and the young man who strikingly resembled the current Mark collapsed on his knees. Caressing its back, he said with a smile on his face, "Lan Ju, don't worry about them. As long as I am alive, I won't let anyone hurt you." Being touched by his actions, the cub let out a cute roar before it initiated the spirit contract after 18 months of acquaintanceship. Back to the present. Seeing that the middle-aged-looking fellow went into trance, Mark assumed that his gamble turned into a success. However, he showed his patience and waited for the other party to speak. Lan Ju then looked at Mark and said, "I guess you are telling the truth. However, I cannot trust a weakling to inherit the sect. Prove that you are worthy." These words were the ones Mark was waiting for. Feeling that his patience paid off, he threw a challenge in reply. "Will you accept the spirit beast contract and become the guardian of my Lan sect if I stay undefeated for 5 minutes? Chapter 271.3 Mark Meets Zhang Part 3. If it was just a minute earlier, Lan Ju, the Zhang beast would have been wary of the challenge with unfavorable conditions, as he couldn't gauge the realm of the visitors. However, now that he personally confirmed the relationship between Mark and his master, Lan Ju didn't dwell on the conditions. If this challenger indeed can stay undefeated for 5 minutes, it would only showcase his ability to bring Lan's sect back to its glory. He would be more than happy to help the young man. But at the same time, there was also this worry developed in his heart. What if this young man wasn't hiding his strength and is in sixth circle as he appeared on the surface? What if he accidentally kills the descendant of Lan Jiangxin? The Zhang cannot do that to him. After a brief moment of thinking, Lan Ju said, "Don't overestimate yourself, young man. You don't know my real strength. I will consider your familial relationship with my master and change the terms. I will give you 10 minutes. If you can land 3 hits on me, I will consider it your win. I won't attack you in the meantime, and you cannot take help from the puppet either. Ready for the challenge?" Mark was taken aback by the other party's proposal. He never planned on doing that. From the start, he was aware that he won't be able to attain the acknowledgement from this demigod beast if he let Elena assist him. Originally, he wanted to depend on the peak potion to go head-to-head with the Zheng, but it looks like the goddess of luck is smiling on him. Maybe it is his 7 points of luck. Whatever the case, there's a possibility that he won't need to use the peak potion. Not wanting to give any time for the Zheng to think on his decision, Mark agreed, although adding a condition of his own. "I accept your terms, but you cannot leave this peak during the battle. No running away." "Humph, you are insulting me, young man," Lan Ju snorted in response. He doesn't know whether the Zheng would keep his word or not, but Mark saw an opportunity, and he intended to take full advantage of it, making the first move right away while raising his arm above his head. Thunder Blast. Without giving any warning, Mark ambushed the opponent with the lightning strike. The last time, the demigod realm beast emperor escaped from getting frozen, but this time, not even the Zheng could dodge the flash of lightning that descended onto his head out of nowhere. It was only after he was struck by lightning that the thunder rumbled in the sky. Only a few strands of hair were damaged by the attack, but still, it left a surprise on Zheng's face. No wonder he was confident. That was powerful enough to kill an 8-circle beast king of any kind. Damn, the beast was too strong, Mark grumbled inwardly, seeing that his most powerful attack did nothing. But he decided to put the negative aside and focused on the positive. Letting out a smile, he then said, "That's one hit, 2 more to go." "You are one shameless guy. You know that." Lan Ju appeared to be complaining, but he has a smile on his face as if he was impressed by the power behind the attack. In response, Mark shrugged his shoulders. "Well, you are in the demigod realm. I had to be shameless." "Oh, you can see my real strength." The Zhang was pleasantly surprised once again, as no one to date, except for the leader of the Church of Doom, has managed to realize that he wasn't in Supreme Realm but the demigod realm. Lan Ju then added, "And still wanted me to attack you earlier." Mark replied while taking out an M134 mini-gun and setting up on the stand, which was roughly about 60 meters away from the target. "I have my ways to protect myself." What is that thing?" Lan Ju saw the Gatling-style gun, which he has no knowledge of. However, he can see the 6 holes in the barrels and immediately guessed that something will come out of them before spotting Mark to connect it with a chain of ammunition. At the same time, Lan Ju also sensed the presence of ether powder in that strange metal weapon. He concluded that the challenger might also use some ether attacks. With his superior sight, senses, and intelligence, it wasn't hard for Zhang to realize that these pointy things will come at him next. All it took for Zhang to understand everything was a mere 3 seconds. Mark wasn't aware that his plan was exposed to his opponent, but he doesn't care anyway. After all, the backup plan was already there in his head. Looking at the prepared Beast Emperor, Mark set the RPM to the maximum. "Are you ready?" "Whatever," the Zhang gestured for him to get on with it. Mark suddenly started counting numbers. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Without finishing 2 and 1, he firmly held on to the trigger, shooting 1,000 rounds of ammo in a mere 12 seconds. While he was shooting, Elena was standing there and capturing the target's movements. As the smoke cleared, Mark no longer saw the middle-aged fellow. Instead, there was a 5-tailed scarlet leopard standing with its head high. "You didn't fail to surprise me, young man, although it was too childish to use that silly move earlier with the countdown. Anyway, what is that thing called?" Mark replied, "It is called M134 minigun." "Weird name," commented the leopard. Meanwhile, Mark turned his head to look at Elena for the result. The android shook her head. "No collisions are detected." "Damn, 1,000 gold coins are wasted." As Mark loaded the next chain of 1,000 ammunition rounds, 7.62x51, the leopard spoke. "Those things are fast but not enough to hit me when I clearly know where the attack is coming from. Using the same attack will be useless." "We'll see about that." Mark was prepared for a momentary failure, so he ignored its comment and turned the weapon toward the scarlet leopard. But this time, he didn't directly shoot it. Instead of clicking the trigger, he clicked on the blue-colored button, which is right below one of the space grips. "Ding, you only have 306,224 ether points left, 46.9%. Not sufficient to invoke the maximum power of the skill." "Ding, the skill attack power has been revised. Super Beam will have a maximum attack power of 120%. This is the new function of the system, Mark discovered a bit late. Regarding the skill attacks, especially from the modern ether weapons, if there isn't any sufficient ether energy, then Mark can still launch them using the remaining ether points. But as a result, the attack power will be reduced significantly. Usually it is not recommended to do it, but at the moment, Mark's aim wasn't to harm the opponent, of course, not that he could even if he wanted to, though. Followed by the notifications, a small electric spark was released into his body before emptying his reserves in an instant while the Gatling gun gets charged up. The Zheng naturally sensed the surge of ether energy from the weapon, but Mark didn't give the leopard too much time to prepare despite knowing that the outcome won't change a bit. He pressed on the trigger and held on to it, barraging another 700 rounds for the next 8 seconds. While the 5-tailed leopard, keeping its word, was busy dodging the bullets with constant side steps. The weapon was charged up and Mark held onto the weapon tightly, bearing the recoil as beams of concentrated ether energy were shot from 6 barrels before merging into one super beam. The leopard sensed the attack and attempted to evade the attack when it was only a couple of feet away. The leopard skid to the left and came out of the smoke, but to its surprise, the super beam made almost a 90-degree turn and struck its neck. No injury or even a bruise appeared on the leopard, but its job is done, and Mark put away the weapon and raised his thumb and index finger. That's 2 hits. Now, only one more to go, Lanju. Suddenly, I feel like I was duped because of my own ignorance, commented the leopard. However, Mark could feel the friendliness in Zheng's tone, or maybe it's just him. Anyway, there was one more to go and Mark took out another weapon. This time, it is a rocket launcher. As he loaded the 110 warhead, the leopard decided not to just sidestep but create enough distance so that it will get time to evade once again, not wanting to make the same mistake. Taking the Beast Emperor's ignorance about firearms as an advantage, Mark shot the warhead. Before the warhead strikes the leopard, the latter leaped more than 5 meters to the left before placing attention on the warhead. Once again, the surprise took over its face as the warhead exploded upon touching the ground, instead of changing its direction or going straight and striking some ruined structures. Boom! In an instant, 30 meters from the point of impact was reduced to dust. The explosion was quite powerful, and because of the hills around, the sound echoed a few times, reaching the Kunyu Valley where the bandits were preparing for the war. Perhaps the leopard had already made the decision, or it might have been too shocked by the explosion. It didn't move from the spot when it can try to evade. As Mark put away the rocket launcher without hiding his excitement, the leopard changed back to the humanoid form. You are quite a trickster, unlike your grandfather, but I will keep my word. Chapter 272, Missile Defense System. Ding, the Zheng has accepted the Spirit Beast contract. Ding, congratulations on forming a contract with a 10-circle Spirit Beast. You received 100,000 credits as a reward. Ding, it is an Emperor-grade beast. You received 50,000 credits as a reward. Ding, you completed the hidden quest, Inheritance of Lan Zhengsen. Missile Defense System upgradable was sent to the inventory. Ding, you unlocked the X-1 missile. Check out the gallery for details. Ding, Lan Zhu is detected as a demigod realm beast. Please upgrade the system to level 6 to place it in the familiar's inventory. Ding, do you wish to erase the memory of Lan Zhu and raise its loyalty to 50% for 1 billion credits? Note, if you accept the deal, 5 billion gold coins will be added to the debt. While keeping his cool on the surface, Mark was celebrating in his head because of how easily he managed to form a contract with the super-powerful Zheng. However, the last notification from the system disturbed his mood. Upon reading the system's offer, which is nothing but an attempt to trap him in bottomless debt, Mark couldn't help but scoff at it. Do you take me for a fool? Even if I looted the entire Vermilion Bird continent, I wouldn't probably be able to gather such an amount. Just the 1% monthly interest itself will amount to 50 million gold coins. Ding, you can clear the debt once you start making Celestial God-grade weapons. You can always purchase relevant ether powder from the system. And who should I sell it to? Mark countered back. He knew that no one is rich enough to buy those ultra-powerful weapons. It was then the system reminded him of some pretty important. Ding, there are thousands of worlds in the universe. You could always find customers who can either pay with gold coins or with equivalent treasures. That's right. Mark would be lying if he says that he wasn't tempted to take the offer. However, his rationality stopped him from making this deal with the devil kind of thing. No, even after you wipe out its memories, there's no guarantee that the beast would listen to my orders unconditionally. Look at Baltro. I managed to raise its loyalty to 56%, but I would have to keep my politeness while requesting something, or else it will refuse to listen to me. If you can somehow make this beast emperor have an unconditional loyalty to me, then I might think about it. If he had a demigod realm beast emperor at his disposal, then he would easily have the world at his feet. At least, that's what Mark believed. Unfortunately, the system had a bad piece of news waiting for him. Ding, please upgrade the system to maximum, rank 10, to unlock such a mechanism. Before Mark even saw a glimmer of hope, it was crushed by the system's reply. Then what else he can do? Simple. Ding, the system's offer was denied. Sigh, it's really a pity anyway. Let's see this MDS, missile defense system, and what upgradable means. After all, I can improve the grade of any weapon as long as I have enough upgrade stones. Missile defense system, I upgradable. Grade copper max, God. Weapon type, mounted. Missile type, X1. Launchers, 1. Number of missiles per launcher, 5. Missile length, 3 meters. Missile weight, 50 kg. Warhead type, fragmentation. Max range of fire, 1 km. Max speed of missile, Mach 1.5. Description: a missile defense system that can be used as an offense or defense, according to the situation. Moving at supersonic speed, X1 could potentially obliterate all targets below 5 circle in a blink of an eye. Skills none. Upgrade 1,000 credits. Okay, this one is damn good. Upgrading through credits is the best possible gift that the system can give me. I wonder how powerful this one becomes once it reaches God grade. Of course, the upgrading costs will bleed me, but it is worth the risk. No wonder the system gave this reward for taming the Beast Emperor. Maybe I wouldn't need its power in the future after all. I will be able to. As Mark was deeply thinking of all the possibilities he could achieve with the newly acquired missile defense system, Lan Ju, who was patiently waiting for a while, cleared his throat and brought him back to reality. Lu Zhen, how long do you plan on standing there in a daze? Come and pay respects to your grandfather. Ah, yes, I'm sorry. Mark closed the window and walked forward, following the middle-aged-looking fellow to the graveyard where dozens of burial mounds are located without any names. Still, the Beast Emperor remembered every name. Upon entering the graveyard, he was actually pointing out every burial mound and telling about them. Mark patiently listened to his story until they reached a burial mound in the center. Upon reaching the spot, a trace of sadness appeared on Lan Ju's face as he said, "This is where your grandmother and grandfather were buried together. Madame Xian loved my master very dearly. She was nothing but a mere 3-circle spirit warrior, but she possessed a special ability to control the minds of ordinary and fierce-grade beasts without forming any contract. In rare instances, she was able to control even a beast king of Exalt Realm, 7 Circle, although it is only for a few moments. 3 decades ago, when a dungeon break occurred in these mountains, many disciples fled in fear, and many elders sent their families away from the danger. And even that traitorous bastard Lan Jing ran away like a coward, but she fought alongside her husband despite his objection. To give her husband those 2 to 3 seconds of time, she even attempted to take over the mind of the dungeon overlord, Qilin, a fearsome monster of undying lands, sigh. Lan Ju paused for a moment and let out a deep sigh. Mark looked at him curiously and asked, "Did she fail?" If that is the case, then she is a fool, thought Mark. While the story might be touching for some people, for Mark, it was like a teacher explaining to him a chapter from a history textbook. He doesn't even have any feelings for the Lan sect either. The revival of the sect was just a means for him to gain strength and manpower. That's all. However, Lan Ju was different. This place holds so many memories for him. He practically grew up here. He witnessed the sect flourish under his master, and he also witnessed its destruction. Forcing out a smile on his face, Lan Ju then proudly said, "Madame Xian managed to stop Qilin for 8 whole seconds. Those mere 8 seconds helped my master to finish his ultimate technique and save mankind. This world owes my master and Madame Xian. Had my master failed to kill the beast, the entire continent would have been destroyed by its onslaught." Mark was taken aback by his words. He felt like this Beast Emperor is glorifying Lan Jingxin too much. After all, there are several supreme beings hidden across the continent. Judging by how no one is aware that Song Tai is in the Supreme Realm, he won't be surprised if there are a few more of them in the Phoenix Empire. As they had already formed a contract and Lan Ju wouldn't harm him as a result, Mark spoke his mind freely, displaying his doubt while choosing his words a bit carefully. Is Killin that powerful? I heard that it was a rank 9 dungeon break. Don't lump us with you humans. The two humans in the same realm might possess similar strength even if their ether quality varies, but the bloodlines affect our strength a lot more than you expect, replied Lan Ju as he shook his head in response. He then explained further, while the Killin back then was a 9-circle beast, it was still an ancient grade beast, a level higher than us. Even in my current peak strength, I could barely contest against that Killin. It's actually amazing that an intermediate stage demigod, mid-10 circle, like my master managed to slay the Killin prince. At once, Mark felt like his heart skipped a beat upon learning that his grandfather is actually a demigod. No one told him that. Perhaps, the common people might also have been unaware of it, or it might just be Lu Zhen who doesn't possess such knowledge. But then again, Lan Jensen was already dead, and the Killin was dead, long ago. There's no use thinking about how strong they were anyway. Putting away his thoughts, Mark kowtowed before the burial mound and paid his respects to the dead. After rising to his feet, he then looked at the Beast Emperor. For now, I'm returning to the Imperial City. What will you do? Chapter 273, Upgrading the Missile Defense System. A helicopter took off its flight from one of the peaks of the Kunyu mountain range. Mark was looking down at the ruined structures where a middle-aged fellow was standing there. Well, I have already established a spiritual connection with him. That was enough. Of course, until I formally establish the sect and raise a private army, I need to visit him regularly. His current loyal is standing at only 23%. It wasn't enough. I cannot give a reason to this guy, could just sever the contract. Now that I think about it, Lan Ju should be better off here. It will not only let me protect my identity from Lan Jingyi, but he won't be able to come in between us. Anyway, let's not think too much about it. You have a lot of work to do, Mark. Soon, the helicopter disappeared from Lan Ju's sight and he went back to the graveyard, continuing to sweep at a snail's pace, once again. Once the helicopter hit a certain height and continued to fly straight toward its destination, Mark opened the inventory to proceed with the upgrading. With over 177k credit limit waiting for me to spend, and another 108,000 credits in his account excluding these 150k credits he received recently, Mark felt rich enough to splurge around, and he chose the defense system to spend those credits on. Okay, here we go. Ding, 1,000 credits were deducted. Missile Defense System I was successfully upgraded to Missile Defense System I. As he clicked on the upgrade, the image on the screen was changed. Previously, it was like 580 mortars clustered together in a pentagon shape. Now, those guns were neatly arranged together in 2 lines, 5 on the top and 5 on the bottom. Okay, silver grade, now next to gold. Mark went on with upgrading until he can no longer do it. Ding, 4,000 credits were deducted. Missile Defense System II was successfully upgraded to Missile Defense System II. Ding, 20,000 credits were deducted. Missile Defense System II was successfully upgraded to Missile Defense System IV. Ding, you unlocked the X2 missile. Ding, 120,000 credits were deducted. Missile Defense System IV was successfully upgraded to Missile Defense System V. Ding, you unlocked the X3 missile. Ding, insufficient credits. The next upgrade needs a whooping 840k credits. It will take a while to amass them again, but I guess I should be satisfied with its current state. Missile Defense System V bound. Grade Diamond Max God. Weapon type mounted. Missile type X1, X2, X3. Launchers 3 Type 1, Type 2, Type 3. Number of missiles per launcher 20. Missile length 3 meters. Missile weight 50 kg X1, 90 kg X2, 160 kg X3. Warhead type fragmentation. Max range of fire 120 km, 100% accuracy. Absolute range, 200 km, 20% accuracy. Max speed of missile, Mach 3.8. Target lock, yes, only ether attacks. Blast radius, 20 meters x1, 50 meters x2, 130 meters x3. Storage chamber, yes. Description: a missile defense system that can be used as an offense or defense, according to the situation. Moving at supersonic speed, X3 could potentially obliterate all targets below 7 circle in a blink of an eye. Upgrade 840,000 credits. Skills: active. Single target ether missile. Shoot a concentrated beam of ether energy from one of the launchers at different attack powers. Cost: Type 1, EP Type 2, 1 MEP Type 3, 10 MEP. Multi-target ether missile. Shoot 20 concentrated beams of ether energy from one of the launchers at once, with each containing 120% attack power of the user. Cost: 30% ether energy. All-out attack. Bombard the enemies with the 60 energy attacks from all of the launchers at the same with an attack power of 200% of the user, max stat 99. Cost: 50% of maximum ether energy. CD, 0 seconds. Invincible dome. Create an invincible barrier with a maximum of 50 meters of radius and block all types of attacks as long as they don't exceed stat 7.5. Cost: 10% of maximum ether energy per second. CD, 0 seconds. Passive. Auto attack deactivated. When the defensive mode is switched on, the missile defense system will automatically use the missiles in the storage chamber and intercept all types of attacks that are aimed at its owner. Cost: none. CD, 0 seconds. Good. It's worth spending 145k credits on this item. Mark let out a satisfactory smile upon reading the details of the new missile defense system. Once the Kunyu bandits start the war, I should set this weapon at the Lushan Peak and attack from far away using those skills. With Lan Ju around, first of all, no one would dare to come there. And secondly, energy attacks will make it impossible for the enemies to trace it back to me. With this, I can easily achieve my target. Now, all I need to do is to wait until that fatty merchant makes the visit. Hopefully, I get my weekly shipment from Zhenghe. So far, only 25,000 of those lead bullets were manufactured. I have a long way to go, but with 72,000 tungsten bullets that I painstakingly saved until now, Prince Feng would be able to hold on until I take out the big ones. Anyway, the hidden quest is finished. Now, I should focus on acquiring the second spirit path. Let's hope that the upcoming expo turns into a success. I should contact Lan Jiang to drag an envoy to the expo. Then there's the Western Moon Kingdom. Didn't Prime Minister Zhu Jianhong give me the communication talisman to contact him? It would be too much work to give a formal invitation. Let's just invite him through the message. Who else is there? The major noble clans and sects. Some of them have enmity with me, but business is business. I can at least put my displeasure aside as long as the money flows in. Let's ask the assistance of the imperial family to send the message to everyone. Even if some fool tries something funny, I would be able to take care of it. After all, I still have the peak strength potion with me. After sending a message to Elena that he was returning home, Mark closed his eyes and took a nap while Alan calmly piloted the vehicle. Heaven Pavilion, Yuan Clan Compound, Northern Yuan Province. The Heaven Pavilion is a building located in the lush gardens of the Yuan Clan Compound. It is usually a location where the public meetings between the elders of the Yuan Clan occur. Because of its huge open space, the rest of the clan members also get an opportunity to witness the meeting between these higher-ups that have authority. And other times, the clan leader patriarch would also give judgments to the sinners of the clan. One can say that it is similar to that of a courtroom of the imperial palace, except that it is strictly exclusive to the clan members. As the strongest clan in the Phoenix Empire, Yuan Clan has about 27 elders, of which everyone is in a 6 circle. There are 3 grand elders with 7 circle realm cultivation, with one of them at peak stage. So it shouldn't be a surprise that the meetings would go on for a long time, because of the varied opinions of elders belonging to different factions. However, at the moment, everyone including those three mighty grand elders just silently stood in their places as they stared at the 20-odd-year-old young man who walked into the pavilion and took the seat, where Patriarch was supposed to sit. It was only after he sat that everyone also took their seats. "Let's begin," said the young man with a patch on one of his eyes as he let out a devilish smile. Chapter 274, The New Leader of Yuan Clan. Yuan Menzi is the son of the late Lian Empire's prince, Shila, and the clan's former heiress, Yuan Zufan. Both of them passed away when he was young, although at different times. Yuan Menzi didn't have any memories of his father as he was assassinated by his own royal bodyguard nearly 3 decades ago. So, he was mostly raised by his mother, who was ousted by the clan on the grounds that she conceived a male child who lacks compassion for everyone but his mother. People termed him as a devil spawn because of his abnormal left eye, his behavior, and the rising natural calamities over the region. If only the 7th prince of the Lian Empire was alive, Yuan Menzi and his mother's lives would have been easier. Unfortunately, Emperor Shi refused to accept her as his daughter-in-law as the prince never asked for his consent beforehand. After all, falling in love with Yuan Zufan and then marrying her, all of this happened during one of his trips. The clan leader, Yuan Weishi, kept the both of them far away from the clan matters, sending them to the southern Yuan province where the dungeon breaks were quite frequent. On the night of the 12th birthday of Yuan Menzi, he gets abducted by some adventurers. His mother chased after them and somehow ended up in the dungeon of Baltro. Whether it is a beast that killed her or whether it is one of the adventurers, no one knows the truth to date. The pain caused by his mother's death only increased his powers tremendously. However, Yuan Menzi cannot abandon his post as the clan elders forcefully made him take a soul oath in the name of the heavens that he would continue to guard the dungeon just like his mother did. Of course, in return, they made him the governor of the southern Yuan after he turned 18. And just 3 years later, the invincible dungeon was cleared, and he became free. Upon returning to the clan with far greater strength than the clan's grand elders combined, he usurped his uncle's position and became the new patriarch of the Yuan clan. Of course, he never planned on staying there for a long time. Hence, following his wishes, the clan never made an official announcement about the change of the regime. Back to the present, as Yuan Menzi called for a clan meeting, the Grand Elders and the Elders including the former Patriarch gathered at the Heaven Pavilion. Upon taking their seats, the Elders silently stared at the young man and waited until he speaks of the matter. Yuan Menzi then glanced at the former Patriarch. "What are you waiting for, uncle? Tell them." "Ah, yes." Yuan Weishi rose to his feet like an ordinary elder and took out a scroll before reading it aloud. It was an invitation letter from the Wuji sect for the annual summit. However, instead of asking the clan to send a representative, the Wuji sect stressed that the 3 grand elders alongside the patriarch of the clan need to be attended together. In fact, to show their seriousness, the letter even mentioned that an esteemed expert like Dai Long, the leader of the MT Hua sect, was also attending the summit. Some of the elders turned serious all of a sudden. Looking at everyone's expression, Yuan Menzi asked, "Uncle, what's the matter?" Instead of the former patriarch, a grand elder named Yuan Peng, who is also Yuan Menzi's grand uncle, answered him, "I think they might have invited us to talk about the Seed of Fire. After all, it is almost the time of its birth." Seed of Fire. Yuan Menzi furrowed his brows as he stared at his grand uncle. He was aware of the story behind those elemental seeds, but didn't know that Seed of Fire is going to be born. He then asked with clear displeasure written on his face, "If that's the case, why haven't I informed yet?" As everyone else stiffened for a moment and held down their breaths, not intending to invite trouble onto themselves by answering him, Yuan Weishi, the former clan head, replied, "The clan had long decided to stay away from this matter. Legendary realm experts from all parts of the world will be claiming the fire seed. Involving in such a matter will only bring destruction to our clan." "Even then you should have told me," said Yuan Menzi, making his uncle nervous. It was then a middle-aged-looking woman who rose to her feet and supported Yuan Weishi. "If we had to inform you every little thing that we have decided, it will take years. So, Lord Yuan wasn't it wrong here?" "Ms. Kang," the young man took a glance at her and asked, "Did I give you permission to talk?" While his tone appeared to be very calm, for the female elder, it appeared like a death sentence. Yuan Weishi immediately tried to protect her by making a request. "She's your aunt, Lord Menzi. I hope you consider your familial relation and forgive her." In response, Yuan Menzi let out a scoff, "Just like how you practically exiled my mother." As Yuan Weishi couldn't defend himself against that accusation, Yuan Menzi raised his eye patch, revealing a glowing scarlet pupil. "No, don't." Yuan Weishi tried to stop him, but it was already too late. Kang Ah, who is the wife of the former patriarch, let out a painful scream as she grabbed her head. "Please stop it, I'm begging you." The woman fell to her knees, apologizing to her nephew and pleading with him to show mercy upon her. No one knows what kind of mental attack Kang Ah was facing, but the elders couldn't help but remember that night when two of the grand elders and former patriarch Yuan Weishi acted the same. Feeling that his aunt learned her lesson, Yuan Menzi covered his eyes with the special patch, ending the illusion technique upon the target and stated, "I don't care how the clan was run before me. As long as I'm acting as the patriarch, no funny business, understand?" "Calm down, Lord Yuan. Acting on unnecessary things will only waste your time," the third Grand Elder, Cao Lin, who is the mother of Yuan Weishi and maternal grandfather of Yuan Menzi, opened up her mouth. Unlike others, she wasn't afraid of her grandson. In fact, she was the very reason the other Grand Elders didn't involve the imperial family in their clan affairs. She was also the one behind Yuan Menzi's appointment as the governor of Southern Province, and she was also the only one who convinced the young man to not take any lives of the clansmen and become the clan leader instead. She didn't even try to fight him like the other Grand Elders. As this position will make his work easier, Yuan Menzi also agreed with her, although putting a condition that he will run the clan in his own method. Upon hearing her words, Yuan Menzi got back to the topic as if nothing happened earlier. "Okay, you can state your opinions on whether we should attend the summit or not. The Seed of Fire doesn't interest me. If you convince me to go and it turns out that the Fire Seed is their main agenda, then the ones who were responsible for wasting my time will face consequences. Please keep that in mind before speaking out." Because of Yuan Menzi's early warning, no elder dared to risk it and face the punishment. Meanwhile, their powerlessness only increased their hatred toward him. Seeing that no one is raising their hand, Yuan Menzi let out a smile. "Okay, we'll follow the majority. We'll not attend the summit as we are busy with internal matters of the clan. Next." The Grand Elders were stumped by his methods of an impudent monarch, but they didn't state their opinion either. Grand Elder, Cao Lin then spoke. "A firearms exhibition is going to be conducted at the Imperial City on the upcoming Monday. We haven't received an official invitation, but I heard that it is open to all the public." "A firearms exhibition?" Yuan Menzi looked at her curiously. This is the first time he even heard of the word firearms. However, before he asked her, another Grand Elder who was silent until now mustered up his courage and opinioned, "Lady Cao, it belonged to Lu Zhen. He is an enemy of noble clans and Crown Prince also detests him very much. If we go there then, we would have to answer the Empress. Even if she's your younger sister, I don't think she will be pleased by it." Lu Zhen, the young man suddenly remembered the guy he was supposed to visit but couldn't meet him until now. "Grand Elder Cao, tell me more about this Lu Zhen and the firearms exhibition." Chapter 275, Hu Tian, the Envoy of Kun Empire. After about 3 hours of travel, the helicopter landed on the Genesis training grounds, right when the sun was almost at its peak. While Mark returned to the store, Alan started running at full speed to do his next job. He reached the Imperial Palace in 20 minutes and handed a letter directly to the emperor, who was in the middle of having a casual chat with the Grand Secretariat. Emperor Shang offered him to sit with them and have a drink of wine, but Alan refused it and started returning home. Meanwhile, Shang Fu read the letter and was visibly surprised. "What is it, Your Majesty?" asked Li Zhen Kang. Shang Fu replied as he handed the letter to him. "It looks like Lu Zhen needs our help to inform the leaders of the major noble clans, sects, and guilds about his upcoming so-called expo. He was worried that people might not show up because of his reputation among the noble clans. I don't know whether to feel happy that he wanted to rely on us or make us feel insulted that he wants us to be a messenger." The Grand Secretariat read the letter carefully and then opinioned. "Your Majesty, the letter clearly mentioned that we need to invite them, not inform them." "And what does that mean?" Shang Fu furrowed his brows. He looked at him as if he was saying, "Weren't both of them the same?" Li Zhen Kang, the Grand Secretariat, then explained, "Your Majesty, I believe that he wants to use the authority of the Imperial Palace to force them to attend the weapons exhibition. They might reject his invitation but not yours." "Well, if you ask me, I'd say that we should comply with his request because you know he's no longer a simple weapon seller. With the contract, he had become a partner like the dwarves." The emperor thought for a while and finally nodded. "All right then. We only have 2 days to spare, so let's not waste any time and get to work. Prepare invitations for the leaders of the top 10 guilds, sects, and all the 12 major clans. Of course, don't forget the wealthy merchants and other prominent individuals." "As you wish, Your Majesty." Li Zhen Kang left the room with hastened steps to finish the work as quickly as possible. Almost at the same time, at the Western Moon Kingdom. Royal Palace, Lunaris City. Inside one of the private meeting chambers, King Shen Niu was drinking wine with some stranger. Both of them appeared to be quite polite with each other. "We have upgraded the security of the Qincheng prison. We can't do anything if someone as powerful as Lu Zhen suddenly decides to forcefully break out a prisoner without bothering to consult us. But then again, even if he isn't an ally or even if it is some other legendary realm expert, no prison in the world would be able to stop such people, and no empire would dare to make an enemy out of them either." The king was trying to reassure the envoy from Kun Empire to invest their money in the Qincheng prison, which has its reputation recently damaged by Mark's actions. The king cannot blame Mark, even for the sake of the guests' feelings, as the person rescued from that place. By portraying the latter as a guy who was strong enough to take down an elder of the Church of Doom, he also indicated to the guests that the Western Moon Kingdom, with its powerful ally, is worth forming relations with. It isn't just the island prison that was on Shen Niu's mind. There are several things that he wanted to cooperate with the Kun Empire. The envoy appeared to be interested. As they were talking about various things, all of a sudden, the door was knocked on 3 times before the Prime Minister entered the chamber. Prime Minister Zhu, the king looked at him curiously. He wondered what might be the matter that forced him to disrupt the meeting. "What is it?" he asked. "I apologize, Your Majesty, but I believe that you should know this." The Prime Minister bowed to him and explained. Lu Zhen sent a message through the communication talisman. As Zhu Jianhong went on to explain the upcoming expo, the envoy of the Kun Empire was shocked at the details. Hu Tian couldn't stay silent and expressed his disbelief. An ungraded weapon that can kill even a 7 circle from several kilometers away. Who the hell is this Lu Zhen, Your Majesty? King Shen Niu could only sigh and reply, "I wonder the same. His past is pretty much ordinary. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he became too strong as he shifted to the imperial city of the Phoenix Empire. Anyway." Shaking off his thoughts, the king looked at his prime minister, replied to him that I will definitely attend. Tell Treasurer Dai Zan to meet me, and also contact Wangxi Bank to send a representative. We can't draw hefty amounts from our treasury all of a sudden, so we might need to take a high-interest loan from those greedy merchants. Your Majesty, our Kun Empire can help you with that." The envoy of Kun suddenly entered into a matter that basically has nothing to do with him. Hu Tian further said, "We don't know how much the final price of the item will go, but if everything is true as you mentioned, I believe even 1,000,000 gold coins wouldn't suffice. I can make the decision on behalf of our emperor, and Kun will grant 10,000,000 gold coins to the Western Moon Kingdom as a part of our investment. In return, we want those 10 of those 20 aircraft or whatever they are. Of course, we would pay our share of the weapons too. What do you think?" King Shen Niu silently stared at Hu Tian for a while, wondering whether he should accept this offer or not. First, there's no guarantee that he might win the bid as there's already a strong competitor. Secondly, Mark was only selling 20 aircraft at the expo. Even if the Western Moon Kingdom successfully won the bid, giving away half of them to the Kun Empire might hurt him a bit. After all, each of them is equivalent to having a bunch of 7-circle experts as battle slaves, and possessing 20 of them could make the King of Western Moon as powerful as the emperors of surrounding lands. But then again, it is difficult to reject such a good offer. For one, Shen Niu would lose a massive investment opportunity, and two, it might strain his ties with this northernmost empire of the Vermilion Bird continent. And Kun Empire isn't just a simple northern empire. Along with the Eastern Sun Kingdom, this Kun Empire was also a neighbor to the Black Turtle continent. So, in a way, this alliance could be a gateway to the other empires that were abundant in natural resources. And maybe, who knows, if the relations improve further, King Shen Niu could send a marriage proposal to the imperial family of the Kun Empire. Considering Mark was already engaged, Shen Niu was confident that his intelligent daughter would surely give up on him. Believing that alliance was more worth than some 10 weapons, the king agreed to his offer, although with adding a piece of warning, "Thank you for your assistance, but I should remind you something. We will be fighting against Emperor Shang in the auction. You don't need to worry about that. If I have enough influence to grant that much investment, I can also drag one of our princes to accompany us," replied the envoy with a confident look. Meanwhile, the reassurance from the envoy sowed expectations in Shen Niu's mind. As a result, he couldn't help but speak his thoughts. "Then, will you be able to convince Qin Jai to accompany us?" The fourth prince. The envoy, for some reason, was surprised by Shen Niu's request. In an instant, Hu Tian understood his thoughts. In fact, even Qin Jai wanted to tag along with him to visit Lunaris City. Seeing that the both of them were on the same page, he nodded with a smile. "All right, I will do what I can." Sometime later in the afternoon, the Eastern Sun Kingdom. On the outskirts of the city of Helios, a 12-year-old was sitting on the flying horses with an M99 sniper rifle on his shoulders. Bang!